I was bald. I was also stronger. I sat on a small folding stool, wearing a white t-shirt with a Hello Kitty cartoon on the chest, a pair of shorts, and flip-flops. I wasn't just sitting there, though. I was screaming at the top of my lungs with the passion of 1,000 suns. Socks, shorts, hair ties, everything must go. The factory boss ran away with his sister-in-law, so I'm selling it all for dirt cheap. Little lady, buy some shorts. 2 for $10. A girl walking by hesitated. She looked at my 2-meter square cloth spread on the ground. It was packed with goods, bows, blue and white stripes, Pikachu patterns, even bikinis. Her face turned bright red. Then she looked at me. I was 18, fairly handsome in a refreshing way, and I was looking at her with pure, desperate expectation. Her face got even redder. Pervert, she snapped. I froze. Wait, don't go. If you don't want shorts, look at the hair ties. How am I a pervert? I'm just selling clothes. Is selling shorts not a real business? I wanted to cry. I had been shouting for over an hour. My throat was raw, and I hadn't made a single cent. If I didn't sell something soon, I wouldn't be able to eat, let alone pay the rent. I was at the end of my rope. Oh, isn't this the god of Jiangxing High School? A mocking voice rang out. The great genius who awakened a space-type ability? Why is he running a flea market stall at the night market? I looked up. A girl with a bob cut wearing a tracksuit was leaning on the arm of a tall guy. I frowned. It was Li Mayan, a classmate. Holy crap, space type? The guy asked, sounding shocked. Are you joking? I remember only 3 people in all of China reached the Daoheaven rank, and one of them was space type. Li Mayan curled her lip. Exactly. When he awakened his ability, it caused a sensation in the whole city. That Daoheaven rank expert even came to see him personally, wanting to take him as a disciple. The guy stared at me. Then why is he here selling socks? You don't know the best part, Li Mayan sneered. Even though his ability is the rarest type, his talent test came back at the lowest possible grade, A rank. The expert was so disgusted he left immediately. With that trash talent, he won't even reach bronze rank in this lifetime. The guy, Wang Lin, let out a loud laugh. What a freak. I rolled my eyes. Are you two buying anything? If not, get lost. Don't ruin my business. Wang Lin chuckled and kicked a pile of socks on my cloth. He did it again and again, leaving clear footprints on the white fabric. Who said we aren't buying? You shouldn't talk to customers like that. My brow furrowed as I looked at the ruined socks. Then, I forced a bright smile. Why don't you buy a bikini for your girlfriend? You'll probably need it tonight. Li Mayan's face turned scarlet. She stepped forward and kicked my entire display into a messy heap. Watch your mouth. Do you know who my boyfriend is? Wang Lin is a strength-type awakener from Jiangxing Martial Arts University. I let out a dry laugh. Scary. I thought his dad was someone important. Wang Lin's eyes turned cold. You're just a piece of trash street vendor. What are you acting tough for? So what if I'm a vendor? I stood up. I earn my own living. Living? Today, I'm going to make sure you can't even eat. Wang Lin gave a cruel grin and threw a punch straight at my head. The force was so strong I could feel the wind pressure. My body reacted. A ripple of spatial energy shimmered around me, and I blinked half a meter backward. I barely dodged the fist, but the effort left me completely drained. Sweat poured down my face, and I felt like every ounce of energy had been sucked out of me. Wang Lin blinked. Damn, you really are space type. But so what? He threw another punch before I could recover. This one caught me right in the jaw. Without any strength left to dodge, I went down hard. My head spun as I hit the pavement. I spat a mouthful of blood onto my display cloth. Suddenly, a mechanical voice echoed in my mind. Blood detected. Strongest street vendor system initiated. Merging. Merge successful. Starter gift. 1 stall cloth, 1 folding stool, 10 draw gotcha ticket. Would you like to draw now? I was dazed. A system? For selling stuff on the street? Would you like to draw now? The voice repeated. Then it got aggressive. Are you going to draw or what? Fine, fine. Draw, I shouted internally. A lucky will spun in my mind. The results started popping up. Thank you for playing. Consolation prize, basic power potion. Thank you for playing. Consolation prize, basic power potion. After 9 thank yous, my face was dark. This was a scam. Then, the last one hit. Congratulations. You won. Marrow cleansing fruit. System inventory unlocked. I checked my inventory. 9 bottles of power potion and 1 fruit. The potion description said it would increase my physical stats by 10 times for 3 days. I immediately pulled one out. Thump! A massive 5-gallon water cooler jug appeared on the ground next to me. I stared at it. System, do you not know what a bottle is? This is a whole jug. Humph. Space type? Just a joke, Wang Lin mocked, standing over me. Can't even take one punch. Shut up for a second, I growled. I unscrewed the cap and started chugging the jug like a madman. Wang Lin stopped, confused. What the hell? You got thirsty from getting beat up? As the liquid hit my stomach, I felt a strange chill on the top of my head. Then, a violent surge of power erupted from deep within my cells. My strength multiplied instantly. I dropped the jug and lunged. My fist flew forward so fast, it created a sonic boom. Wang Lin wasn't ready. Bam! I buried my fist in his stomach. His face contorted, his eyes nearly popped out of his head, and he doubled over like a shrimp, vomiting bile. Li Mayan stood there, frozen. What kind of freakish power is this? She wasn't looking at Wang Lin, though. She was staring at me. Lin Yuan, why are you bald? I froze. I reached up and felt the top of my head. It was smooth. Perfectly smooth. My hair. Where's my hair? I screamed internally. System, what happened to my hair? Please do not focus on minor details, host. Minor details? I had a full head of hair. You call this a detail? The power potion was no joke. It was strong. But the side effect was brutal. I was bald, but I was definitely stronger. Wang Lin struggled to stand, his face twisted in rage. You're dead. He was a bronze rank strength awakener. He couldn't lose to a black iron rank trash like me in front of his girlfriend. He threw a desperate punch. I caught his fist in my palm. It didn't even budge me. I squeezed. Ow, ow, ow. Stop. It hurts. Wang Lin shrieked, his face turning purple as he began to seriously question his life choices. I squeezed his wrist hard. Wang Lin's eyes bulged. He was supposed to be a bronze rank strength awakener, yet here I was, a trash black iron rank, crushing his hand like it was made of paper. I'm the strength awakener here. Wang Lin roared, his face turning a deep shade of purple. How is your grip this strong? You're a space type. This is impossible. A notification pinged in my head. Resentment points from Wang Lin plus 888. My eyes lit up. I finally understood how this system worked. I needed 10,000 points for a single spin on the lucky wheel and 100,000 for a 10 pull. I had been wondering how to farm these points, and now I had my answer. It was simple. I just had to make people hate me. I looked at Wang Lin again, but I didn't see a bully anymore. I saw a golden goose. I grabbed his arm, spun him around, and slammed him face first into the pavement. I hopped onto his back, pinning him down. Bam! Resentment points from Wang Lin plus 666. Bam! Resentment points from Wang Lin plus 686. My fists fell like rain. The sound of impact echoed through the street, and with every punch, my point total climbed. I felt a rush of pure adrenaline. It was addictive. After a minute, my knuckles started to get sore, so I reached out and grabbed my small folding stool. Thwack! I started hammering him with the plastic stool. Resentment points from Wang Lin plus 999. Hee hee, I chuckled. The stool was much more efficient than my fists. A crowd began to gather, and people pulled out their phones to record the scene. I heard them whispering, "Holy crap, that bald kid is a beast. Is he going to kill him? His face is swollen like a balloon." Serves him right, someone else chimed in. I saw it. That girl flipped the kid's stall first and called us street vendors trash. Give him another one. Li Mayan stood there, paralyzed. Wang Lin was a 3-star bronze rank, a combat specialist. How was he being bullied like a dog by a black iron nobody? Was he on steroids? Stop it, she screamed. I'm calling the police. Asterisk. Resentment points from Li Mayan plus 888. Asterisk. I stopped the stool midair and looked down. Wang Lin was a mess. His face was so swollen he looked like a pig, and he was actually sobbing. I'd broken his spirit. Fine, I'll stop, I said, breathing heavily. But look at my socks. You stepped all over them. They're ruined. You're buying the whole lot. Wang Lin looked up, his eyes watery and pathetic. How much? $10 a pair. What? They were 4 pairs for $10 a minute ago. You're robbing me. I narrowed my eyes. What do you think I'm doing right now? Asterisk. Resentment points from Wang Lin plus 666. Asterisk. He didn't have a choice. I walked away with over 2,000 yuan for 200 pairs of socks. Wang Lin struggled to his feet, leaning on Li Mayan. Wang Lin struggled to his feet, leaning on Li Mayan. Just wait until the monthly exam tomorrow. Li Mayan hissed, her eyes full of venom. You're in class 5 for now, Lin Yuan. But after tomorrow, you're getting kicked out to the regular classes. I didn't even look back. I just waved. Take care, customers. Come back soon. Asterisk. Resentment points from Wang Lin plus 999. Asterisk. The crowd was getting too big, so I packed my stall into a bundle, threw it on the back of my old Phoenix brand bicycle, and pedaled away. I hummed a little tune as I rode, the rusty chain clinking against the guard like a rhythmic beat. Tomorrow was the big test at Jiangxing High. I was a space type, which was supposed to be a 1-in-a-million talent, but my cultivation speed was garbage. I had been stuck at Black Iron 3-star since freshman year, while everyone else was hitting bronze. If I didn't reach 5-star by tomorrow, the school would cut my funding and take away my spirit beads. The world had changed 20 years ago when the spirit gates opened. Monsters came out, and humans awakened powers. Being an awakener was the only way to have a real future. I had been ready to give up and just be a regular guy, but this strongest street vendor system changed everything. I touched the top of my head and felt the cool breeze. I winced. System, why didn't you mention the hair loss in the description for the power potion? Asterisk, please do not focus on minor details, host. Asterisk, minor details? I'm 17 and bald. I reached the outskirts of the city, pulling into a narrow alley near a busy barbecue stand. The smell of grilled meat made my stomach growl. The lady running the stand, Auntie Zhou, saw me and waved. Lin Yuan, just getting back? You look hungry. Want some fried noodles? No thanks, Auntie, I said, pulling out a wad of cash. Here's the 2,500 for this month's rent. Sorry it's late. She took the money and looked at me, startled. Oh, honey, you work so hard. But why did you shave your head? It's for the summer. I lied, rubbing my scalp. Keeps me cool. I hurried up to my tiny 25-square-meter apartment. I locked the door, closed the curtains, and took a deep breath. With a thought, the marrow-cleansing fruit appeared in my hand. It looked like a bright red plum. Here goes nothing, I muttered, and swallowed it whole. It melted instantly. I waited. 5 minutes passed. Nothing happened. No pain, no black sludge leaking from my pores, no golden light. Then, suddenly, my senses sharpened. I could feel the spiritual energy in the air. It was like I could finally see the water I had been swimming in my whole life. The energy rushed into my body, flooding my cells. Black Iron 4-star, 5-star, 6-star. I stopped at 7-star. My talent had been upgraded. I didn't know what rank I was now, but I wasn't trash anymore. I looked in the mirror, my bald head gleaming under the light bulb, and grinned. Tomorrow was going to be very interesting. My hands were shaking as I checked myself over. I looked for missing parts, weird growths, or anything out of the ordinary. The vigor potion had turned me into a monk, and I had no idea what the side effects of this marrow-cleansing fruit would be. I leaned over, squinting, examining every inch of my skin. Just as I was deep into my inspection, the door creaked open. It was Zhou Yuqing, the landlord's daughter. She was wearing a floral dress, her hair tied in a neat ponytail, holding a steaming bowl of noodles. She froze. I was bent over in a very questionable position, still checking my lower half for side effects. Her eyes went wide. Her face turned a deep, burning crimson. Before I could say a word, she slammed the bowl down on the small table near the door. I'll leave the noodles here. Finish your business before you eat. She bolted. The door slammed shut. I stood there stunned. Wait, it's not what you think, I yelled. It was useless. She was already halfway down the stairs. I sighed and picked up the noodles. They were good, but they tasted a bit salty. Maybe it was the flavor of my own tears. I sat back and focused on the system. My resentment points had skyrocketed to over 110,000. Beating the hell out of Wang Lin had been a gold mine. I felt lucky. I decided to go for a 10 draw on the lucky wheel. Start the draw, I muttered. The wheel spun. Thank you for playing. Thank you for playing. Thank you for playing. 10 times in a row. My face went dark. I looked in the mirror at my shiny scalp and wondered if the system was mocking me. But it wasn't a total loss. I received 10 consolation prizes, 10 bottles of Vigor Potion. A thought struck me. I could sell these. Sure, they made you bald, but the strength boost was a miracle. I could make a fortune and farm resentment points at the same time. It was a perfect plan. I lay on my bed and pulled out my cheap $50 smartphone. I opened the class WeChat group, and it was absolute chaos. Someone had posted a video from the night market. It already had 400,000 views. Look at this bald guy, someone messaged. He's wearing a Hello Kitty shirt and absolutely destroying a student. The video was blurry, but it showed me sitting on Wang Lin, swinging a folding stool like a madman. The comments were flying. People were shocked that a bronze-level strength user was getting crushed by a random street vendor. Wait, one classmate wrote. Doesn't that bald guy look a little like Lin Yuan? Lin Yuan? Give me a break, another replied. That guy has been stuck at Black Iron 3-star for 3 years. He's a loser. Tomorrow's exam is his last day in this class anyway. Good riddance. I watched the chat, a cold smile on my face. They had no idea. Then I saw Li Mayan was tagged. Someone asked if her boyfriend, Wang Lin, was okay. The resentment points started flooding my system. Plus 555. Plus 666. She was clearly watching the chat from the hospital. I couldn't help myself. I typed out a message. Hey, Li Mayan, is the hospital Wi-Fi fast? I'm jealous. I'm almost out of data over here. Resentment points plus 999. I laughed out loud. She was probably breaking her phone right about now. I kept watching the points roll in until I finally drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I headed out feeling refreshed. I ran into Zhou Yuqing near the stairs. She looked at me, her face turning red again. Lin Yuan, you should really get more rest, she whispered, looking at the floor. Take care of your body. She sprinted away before I could explain that I wasn't doing anything shameful. I just sighed, pulled a baseball cap over my bald head, and hopped on my old, creaky bicycle. When I walked into the classroom, the noise died down for a second. A few girls looked at me with pity. They knew today was the monthly exam. They knew I was supposedly the worst student in class. I ignored them and sat by the window. Li Xiang, the class monitor, walked over to my desk. He had a smug look on his face. Lin Yuan, don't be too sad about getting kicked out, he said loudly. Being a fighter isn't for everyone. But your space ability is actually useful. My dad runs a logistics company. After you graduate, you can come work for him as a delivery driver. I'll give you 3,000 a month. What do you think? The class erupted in laughter. 3,000? That's generous for a human mailbox, someone shouted. I looked up at Li Xiang and gave him a bright, wide smile. Actually, I know a guy at a construction site, I said. With your breath ability, you'd be perfect for digging out manure pits. You'd be faster than 10 excavators. The laughter stopped instantly. Li Xiang's face turned purple. I just leaned back, waiting for the exam to start. Today, everything was going to change. The classroom was a mess of stifled laughter. My manure pit comment had hit Li Xiang right where it hurt. His face turned a deep, bruised purple. A notification popped up in my mind. Resentment from Li Xiang plus 999. I grinned. The guy was a goldmine. Before he could snap back, the classroom door swung open. Li Mayan walked in, looking like she hadn't slept a second. She had massive dark circles under her eyes and a temper to match. She marched straight up to me, her eyes blazing. Lin Yuan, she shouted, her voice trembling. You have to take responsibility for what you did to me last night. The entire room went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Every head turned toward us, eyes wide with shock. I blinked, looked her up and down, and let out a thoughtful hum. What? Is it still hurting? I asked. The silence broke into a collective gasp. The looks people were giving us changed instantly. I could practically hear their thoughts. Did they actually do it? My God, is our class hunk that wild? Li Mayan realized how her words sounded. Her face turned bright red, transitioning from anger to pure embarrassment. You're shameless, she screamed. Resentment from Li Mayan plus 789. Thankfully, the homeroom teacher walked in before things got even weirder. She tapped her pointer against the blackboard, her professional suit crisp and intimidating. "Everyone, back to your seats," she barked. "Quiet down." Li Xiang leaned toward me, narrowing his eyes. "You just wait," he hissed. "You're going to look like a fool in a minute." I just smiled. I loved how easy it was to farm points from these people. "Listen up," the teacher continued. "The monthly exam starts now. We're heading to the gym for the strength and ability test. This is class 1, the elite class. Don't you dare embarrass us." She glanced at me, her disappointment obvious. My classmates giggled, waiting for the moment I'd finally be kicked out. I didn't say a word. I just followed the crowd. The gym at Jiangxing High was a massive glass structure, reinforced to handle awakened abilities. All 10 senior classes were gathered there, nearly 500 students in total. After a boring speech from the principal, the testing finally began. A massive machine sat by the floor-to-ceiling windows. It looked like a high-tech punching bag made of heavy titanium alloy, with a digital display on top. A student from class 10 went first. He roared, his hands erupting in flames. He hurled a fireball the size of a wash basin at the target. Boom! The machine smoked, and the screen flashed. Black Iron 9 star. Attack power. A. Asterisk. The crowd cheered. He walked back with his head held high. One by one, students stepped up. Some turned into beasts, some used telekinesis, and others controlled the elements. The leaderboard kept shifting. 2 hours later, it was finally class 1's turn. Li Xiang was the first to jump out. He took a deep breath, stomped his foot, and the concrete floor actually groaned. The ground twisted, forming a massive fist of stone and cement that slammed into the machine. Bronze 3 star. Attack power, S. The leaderboard updated instantly, putting him at number 1. The gym erupted. Bronze 3 star? That's insane. He's a genius. I heard his talent grade is A. Li Xiang walked back to the line, throwing me a look of pure contempt. He didn't even need to speak. His eyes said everything. A few more students went, and then it was Li Mayan's turn. She was a metal type. She launched a volley of steel spheres that hit the target like armor-piercing rounds, sparks flying everywhere. Black Iron 10 star. Attack power, A. She landed in the top 10. As she walked past me, she leaned in close. "Get ready to get kicked out of the elite class, Lin Yuan." I just smiled, adjusted my baseball cap, and walked toward the machine. The chatter started immediately. "Wait, isn't that the guy who's supposedly a dud? The space type who can't fight? He's probably going to break his hand. I bet the machine won't even register a number." I ignored them. I stood before the titanium target and took a deep breath. I felt my muscles coil like steel cables. I stepped forward, twisted my hips, and let out a punch with everything I had. Crack! The sound wasn't a thud, it was a sonic boom. The titanium alloy target didn't just dent, it crumpled like wet paper. The 4 massive bolts anchoring the machine to the floor snapped like toothpicks. The entire machine, all 800 pounds of it, was launched backward. It smashed through the glass windows, flew out of the 3rd-story gym, and crashed onto the rubber track outside, rolling another 20 meters. The shockwave was so strong it blew my baseball cap right off my head. My smooth, shiny bald head glistened under the gym lights. The silence was absolute. Li Xiang's jaw hit the floor. Li Mayan looked like she'd seen a ghost. Even the principal and the proctors were frozen. One punch. I had literally punched the test out of the building. "Is that Saitama?" someone whispered. "Where's his cape?" "What kind of strength is that?" another shouted. "The machine is rated for anything up to bronze 5 star. I scratched my head, feeling a bit awkward. I didn't think the strength potion would be that powerful. I looked at the principal, who looked like he was about to have a heart attack. Do I have to pay for that?" I asked. Resentment from Li Xiang plus 999. Resentment from Li Mayan plus 999. Resentment from Principal Wang plus 999. The proctor cleared his throat, trying to regain his dignity. No, you don't have to pay. It's our fault for not having a better machine. We were due for an upgrade, anyway." Principal Wang's face was pitch black. I could tell he was hurting inside. A few students ran downstairs and hauled the mangled machine back up. It looked like it had been hit by a tank. The screen flickered, struggling to stay alive, and finally displayed the results. Black Iron 7-star. Attack Power, SSS. My name shot straight to the very top of the leaderboard. SSS. That's impossible, the crowd roared. Principal Wong walked over to the wreckage, trying to act calm. Well, at least it's not completely. Sparks flew. Smoke poured out of the circuits. The screen went black. The machine was dead. I had officially broken the school. Principal Wong Tianyi stared at the smoking ruins of the test machine. I could practically hear his heart breaking. Resentment from Wong Tianyi plus 999. There was no fixing that thing. It was scrap metal now. The proctor looked at me, his eyes wide with confusion. I remember you awakened a space-type ability, he stammered. How is your strength this high, Jiangnan? I had expected this question. I put on my best innocent face. Well, I was working my stall at the night market yesterday and got into a bit of a fight. Someone punched me so hard it must have triggered a secondary awakening. Now I have strength-type abilities too. The principal, Li Mayan, and the proctors all stared at me. My excuse was bold, but I'd already thought it through. Holy crap, a student shouted, pointing at his phone. I knew he looked familiar. Look at this viral video from last night. That guy beating the college students with a folding stool. That's him. The crowd erupted. A dual-type awakening? Just from getting into a street fight? Was it really that easy? Everyone's gaze shifted to Li Mayan. They knew I'd cracked her boyfriend's head open the night before. Suddenly, everything clicked for them. The proctor laughed, clearly impressed. That is quite the stroke of luck. I'll report this to the school. A dual awakening is 1 in 10,000. We'll increase your monthly spirit pearl allowance by 1. My eyes lit up. Thank you, teacher. As I stepped off the stage, I walked right up to Li Mayan. I gave her a shy, bashful smile. Hey, when you visit the hospital later, tell Brother Wong I said thanks. If it wasn't for him, I might never have awakened my second power. Li Mayan's teeth ground together so hard I thought they might shatter. Resentment from Li Mayan plus 999. Being this annoying felt amazing. The other students looked at me with pure envy. Some were even whispering about contacting Li Mayan's boyfriend to see if he'd punch them, too. The proctor tried to get the testing back on track. All right, next student. Lu Wuchuan. He stopped, looking at the charred remains of the machine. Actually, if you haven't tested yet, your exam is postponed until we get a new machine. Resentment from the proctor plus 200. Resentment from Lu Wuchuan plus 666. The notifications flooded my screen. Every student who had to wait for a makeup test was feeding my system. I looked at them and smiled. They were so cute. If I had to do it again, I'd definitely change my ways. I'd try to break the machine even earlier. As the crowd dispersed, Li Xiang marched up to me, his face cold. Don't get cocky. So what if you have 2 powers? Your talent is still trash. This is just a temporary flash in the pan. We'll leave you in the dust soon enough. I raised my fist and gave it a look. Oh, really? Hey, Mr. Human Excavator, is your skull harder than that alloy testing machine? Li Xiang flinched. Resentment from Li Xiang plus 888. Just you wait. I watched him walk away, feeling like a proud farmer watching his prize cattle. This guy was a goldmine. He'd already provided me with nearly 30,000 points. I had to make sure I took good care of him. That evening, I hopped on my old bicycle and headed straight for the Jiangqing night market. My mind was racing with business plans. It was time to sell some stamina. Once I reached my spot, I flicked my wrist. A small rift opened in the air beside me. Being a space type might not make me a powerhouse yet, but it was great for storage. I could maintain a 3 cubic meter pocket dimension without breaking a sweat. It made hauling inventory a breeze. I spread my cloth on the ground and laid out my usual stock: socks, underwear, hair ties. But today, there was something new. 10 plastic water bottles sat in a row. The labels were ripped off, and I'd used a marker to scrawl 4 messy characters on them. Farmer's 3 Springs. This was my diluted stamina potion. Step right up. Take a look. I shouted. Socks, underwear, hair ties, all cheap. Plus, my ancestral Farmer's 3 Springs. It's even a little bit sweet. As the sun went down, the market got crowded. My yelling actually worked. A couple of girls walked by, whispering to each other. Hey, isn't that the bald guy who used the stool yesterday? One asked. He's actually kind of cute. Oh, You interested? The other teased. No way, bald isn't my type. If he had hair, I'd definitely ask for his WeChat. I felt a pang in my heart. System, give me back my hair. I wanted to tell them it wasn't a choice, but I had a sale to make. Behind the girls was a tall, handsome guy who rolled his eyes. Let's just look around. Our team enters the spirit ruins tomorrow. The three of them stopped at my stall. I noticed a flash of red peeking out from the tall guy's waistband as he leaned over. I grinned. Hey brother, is it your zodiac year? Wearing red underwear for luck. Mine are guaranteed not to fade. $10 for 2 pairs. The guy, Zheng Wei, turned beet red. Where the hell are you looking? Resentment from Zheng Wei plus 666. The girls saw the red waistband and burst out laughing. Zheng Wei, it really is your year. So bright. Listen to the boss, buy 2 pairs. I chimed in. The ladies are right. Red brings good luck. Resentment from Zheng Wei plus 666. He grumbled and scanned my QR code, tossing me $10 just to shut me up. Then his eyes landed on the water bottles. Farmers 3 Springs? What is this? I leaned in, looking serious. Brother, you've stumbled upon greatness. This is an ancestral recipe. 1 bottle and your strength increases tenfold. You only need 3 springs to take down any enemy. Zheng Wei's lip twitched. The cap has clearly been opened. Ancestral water? Are you kidding me? This is just tap water, isn't it? The girls looked skeptical too. I didn't say a word. I picked up a red brick from the side of the road and slammed it directly into my own forehead. The girls screamed. Crack. The brick snapped in half against my skull. Zheng Wei froze. Are street vendors always this desperate? I didn't stop. I picked up another brick and shattered it against my head again. Thud. I'm telling you, I said, wiping brick dust off my face. Before I drank this, I could barely climb into bed. Now, my head breaks bricks and my hands tear through steel. You believe me now. I reached for a 3rd brick. Zheng Wei panicked. Stop. Brother, stop. I'll buy it. I'll buy it. How much? I smiled. Not expensive. 10,000 per bottle. Zheng Wei nearly choked on his own spit. 10,000? For a bottle of water? I shrugged. The results speak for themselves. The girls were fascinated now. They nudged him. Come on, Zheng Wei. Just try it. You weren't exactly hurting for 10,000 yuan, were you? I didn't think so. Besides, you just watched me smash my skull against a red brick for your entertainment. That kind of effort deserves a payday. Zheng Wei looked at the 2 girls waiting expectantly and sighed. He gave in. He probably figured he was just paying for a high-end circus act. The notification popped up instantly. 10,000 yuan received. Wait, brother, I called out as he turned to leave. You're still short a yuan. Zheng Wei froze. He looked at me, utterly baffled. I just sent 10,000. How am I short a buck? I pointed at the shattered debris on the ground. The red brick isn't free, man. They're 50 cents apiece, and I broke 2. Pay up. Resentment from Zheng Wei plus 666. The guy looked like he wanted to strangle me. I was making a profit on the water and the props. Talk about a solid business model. Fine, he spat. He paid the extra yuan just to get me out of his face. You better hope this works. Under the watchful eyes of the girls, Zheng Wei unscrewed the cap of the farmer's 3 Springs and chugged it down. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Suddenly, his face turned a violent shade of red. A wild, primal energy surged through his body. His eyes widened with pure excitement. He was already a bronze 2-star strength-type awakener, but with a tenfold boost, his power reached a terrifying level. He squeezed his fist, and the air actually popped under the pressure. Boss, this is incredible, he shouted. Your ancestral water is the real deal. Tomorrow's mission to the spirit realm is going to be a breeze. I gave him a slightly awkward smile. Of course it works. Would I ever lie to you? But then, the girls started pointing. Their mouths dropped open. Zheng Wei, you're bald, one of them shrieked. Oh my God, I can't breathe. It's so shiny. The 2 girls doubled over, clutching their stomachs as they howled with laughter. Zheng Wei reached up and rubbed his head. A cool night breeze drifted over his scalp. It was smooth. It was cold. It was completely hairless. He looked like a human light bulb. Resentment from Zheng Wei plus 999. The system notifications started flashing like crazy. In just a few seconds, I had raked in over 10,000 resentment points. Zheng Wei looked like he was about to explode. You're dead, he roared. Where's my hair? I patted his shoulder, trying to keep a straight face. Come on, brother. Don't sweat the small details. Look on the bright side, you're aerodynamic now. He tried to lung at me, but the girls held him back, still giggling. Honestly, the bald look suits you. And hey, the water actually worked, didn't it? I winked at the girls. So, between the two of us, I'm clearly the more handsome one now, right? They laughed and nodded. Definitely. Way more handsome. We chat? I asked, holding up my phone. Sure. They walked away, leaving a dejected Zheng Wei trailing behind them. His bald head reflected the streetlights like a mirror. Just as they disappeared into the crowd, a Mercedes G-Wagon roared to a halt at the entrance of the night market. A woman stepped out of the driver's seat. She was breathtaking. Silver short hair fell to her shoulders, and her deep blue eyes looked like the ocean. She was wearing a jacket and tiny hot pants, looking like a wild snow lotus blooming in the night. She checked her phone, her teeth gritted. It's definitely him. I won't miss him this time. A second girl stepped out of the passenger side. She was wearing a white orchid shirt and a sun hat, looking elegant and soft. Xiao Yao, you've been saying that for 6 months. Every single time. Xiao Yao huffed. I don't care if he shaved his head or gone into hiding. I'd recognize that black-hearted scammer anywhere. Just thinking about him makes my skin crawl. She grabbed Zhong Yingshue's arm and marched into the market. I could practically hear her grinding her teeth from across the street. Meanwhile, I was riding high on my recent sale. Why stop at one bottle? I pulled a fresh stack of red bricks out of my spatial storage and started my pitch again. Step right up. Ancestral farmers, 3 springs. 1 sip for strength, 2 sips to kick a durian, 3 sips, and you'll meet the heavens. No lies, no fakes. Watch me break these bricks live. Thud. I slammed a brick against my forehead. It shattered instantly. A crowd started to gather, whispering about how desperate street vendors had become. Boss, is that brick fake? Someone shouted. I stood up, holding a fresh brick. Fake. You want to come over here and let me test it on your head? Resentment from Song XIN plus 666. The crowd laughed, but nobody was reaching for their wallets. They were all just there for the free show. I had broken 20 bricks and my throat was getting sore, but these people were just white floating, watching the talent for free without buying a thing. Suddenly, the crowd shifted. A wave of gasps rippled through the market. Look at those girls. They're gorgeous. Are they movie stars? I think I'm in love. I looked up and saw them. Xia Yao was leading the way, looking like a white wolf hunting in the snow. She was tall, nearly 180 centimeters, with legs that looked like they were drawn in a manga. Beside her, Zhong Yingxue was a picture of refined beauty. Xiao Yao, did you find him? Zhong Yingxue asked. Xia Yao scanned the crowd, her eyes sharp. Then, her gaze locked onto me. My heart stopped. My face went pale. I prepared to use my space ability to teleport the hell out of there. I've got you now. Don't you dare run. Before I could blink, she lunged. She didn't just grab me. She tackled me into a brutal chokehold. I felt my eyes start to roll back into my head. Resentment from Xia Yao plus 1,000. You goddamn scammer, she screamed. I've been looking for you for 6 months. Those 2 pairs of shorts you sold me, the color bled everywhere. I broke into a cold sweat, acting innocent. That's impossible. How would you even know the color bled? Xia Yao's face turned bright red with fury. How did she know? She had gone home after buying them, ready for a nice bath, only to realize the dye had turned her entire lower body black. Zhong Yingxue had nearly died laughing. It took Xia Yao an entire week of scrubbing to get the stains off. It was a nightmare she would never forget. You shut up and pay me back, she yelled, tightening the grip on my neck. The crowd went wild. Holy crap, what is happening? The bald boss is a scammer? And he's being tackled by a supermodel. I wish a beauty would put me in a chokehold. Shorts that bleed color? This guy really is a menace. I struggled for air, realizing that this time, my ancestral water wasn't going to save me. We were pressed tightly together, and I could barely breathe, let alone run. Xia Yao's grip was like an iron vice. But then I saw Zhong Yingxue. She was standing there, her small hand covering her mouth, staring at me with wide, tear-filled eyes. Jiangnan, is that really you? I froze. I had been so busy trying to survive Xia Yao's assault that I hadn't even looked at the girl standing next to her. I looked up, meeting her gaze. A massive wave of joy washed over her face. Before I could say a word, Zhong Yingxue threw herself forward and pulled me into a tight embrace. Suddenly, my world was filled with her scent. It was a soft, warm hug that caught me completely off guard. The crowd around us absolutely lost their minds. Are you kidding me? A front and back pincer attack? Is there no justice in this world? I want to be tackled by beauties too. I was struggling to survive the double affection. Yingxue, I can't breathe. Between Xia Yao's chokehold and Yingxue's hug, I was literally being smothered. It felt amazing, sure, but I was dying. Yingxue realized what she was doing and let go, her face turning a deep shade of crimson. She reached out and gently wiped the brick dust off my bald head. Xia Yao looked confused, blinking at her friend. Xue, why did you jump in? Were you trying to help me get revenge? Xia Yao, let him go. Quickly, Yingxue pleaded. Xia Yao shook her head violently. No way. I finally caught him. If I let go, he'll vanish again. Yingxue gave a helpless, bitter smile. This is Jiang Nan. He's the friend I told you about, from the orphanage. Xia Yao's eyes went wide. No way. You're telling me this scammer is your childhood sweetheart? She looked at me, her expression turning fierce. Fine. I'll loosen up a bit, but don't you dare try to run. I sat there for a moment, dazed. Looking at the girl in front of me, I could still see the traces of the little girl I used to know. Yingxue wiped a stray tear from her eye, looking at my smooth scalp. Why did you shave your head? And why are you selling water and smashing bricks in the street? I scratched my head and laughed. It's summer, it's hot. Shaving it saves money on haircuts. As for the bricks, well, I thought it would help attract customers. Yingxue's eyes turned red again. Life must have been so hard for you since leaving the orphanage. It's nothing, I said, waving it off. We survived worse back then. I have hands and feet. I won't starve. We were both orphans who grew up together in the Jiangxing orphanage. We were each other's entire world. Back then, I'd save my allowance for months just to buy her a bag of white rabbit candies. When people bullied her, I stood in front. When I got sick, she never left my bedside. To her, I wasn't just a friend. I was the tree that shielded her from the wind and rain. We thought we'd be together forever. But when Yingxue turned 13, she awakened a fire-type ability. It was S-class, a terrifying level of talent. The powerful Zhong family immediately adopted her to groom her. Despite her crying and screaming, we were torn apart. I moved out at 16 to fend for myself, and we hadn't seen each other since. Until today. Xia Yao pouted, breaking the moment. Hey, Baldy, don't think this gets you off the hook. You still owe me. I felt a bit guilty. How about I give you 2 more pairs of shorts? You can pick the color this time. Xia Yao's grip tightened instantly. In your dreams. So they can dye my skin again. I started turning blue. This girl was incredibly strong. All right, stop it. Yingxue laughed, trying to play peacemaker. Let's go grab dinner and catch up. Xia Yao wasn't letting go. She sat me down on my small stool and stayed draped over my back, keeping me in a modified headlock. Fine, but he's not moving until he finishes his business. I'll help him sell this stuff. Just stop squeezing, I wheezed. The crowd watched in pure envy. One man stepped forward, his eyes burning with jealousy. I don't care about the water. The shorts are 2 for 10 yuan, right? Give me 10 pounds of them. 10 pounds. I choked out. You buying them by the weight now? You won't finish wearing those before you die. Leave some for the other customers. Resentment from Wang Tai plus 285. Resentment from Lu Quan plus 666. Resentment from Zhong Yingxue plus 111. Xia Yao was giggling behind me. She knew the dye would bleed, but she didn't care. She was actually enjoying the scam. With 2 beauties acting as my sales team, the remaining stock vanished in less than 10 minutes. I realized then that beauty really is a cheat code for business. Once the stall was cleared, I waved my hand, tossing the leftover crates and even my old bicycle into my spatial storage. Let's go. Dinner's on me. Xia Yao froze, her jaw dropping. You're a space type? Even Yingxue was stunned. There were fewer than 10 space type users in the entire world. I shrugged. Yeah, why else would I be out here? A space type user, selling shorts at a night market? Xia Yao's voice went up 3 octaves. She couldn't believe the black-hearted vendor she'd been hunting was a rare elite. What? You think I should be delivering packages instead? Resentment from Xia Yao plus 666. Look, my talent grade is the lowest, grade F. It's slow to level up. Being a space type doesn't mean I can just rob banks. I still have to make a living. Xia Yao didn't seem to be listening. She was already plotting something in her head. Meanwhile, Yingxue gently took my arm, a soft smile on her face. It's okay, she whispered. You protected me in the orphanage. Now, it's my turn to protect you. Zhong Yingxue was being so gentle it felt like my heart was literally melting. We walked to the edge of the night market, and I stopped dead in my tracks. There was a Mercedes G-Wagon parked right there, idling loudly. I looked at Xia Yao in shock. How rich was this girl? She was barely 18 and already driving a tank. I hopped into the passenger seat while Yingxue took the back. I couldn't stop staring at Xia Yao as she gripped the wheel. She started getting fidgety under my gaze. What are you looking at? She snapped. I'm 18. I have a license. I rubbed my eyes and sighed. I think I'm going blind. The glow of your money is blocking my vision. Resentment from Xia Yao plus 666. If it weren't for Yingxue, I'd be done with you, she muttered. Where are we eating? Skewers, I said. Let's hit the roadside stalls. The V8 engine roared as we pulled up to the food street. Every pedestrian gave us the side eye, their faces full of pure envy. They were probably wondering why someone in a luxury SUV was hanging out at a cheap stall. I didn't know it yet, but a video of me smashing bricks against my skull was already blowing up on social media. I was becoming a local celebrity for all the wrong reasons. We sat down at a table in the open air. I ordered kidneys, soy-glazed tendons, and lean meat. No spice, I told the waiter. Yingxue doesn't like it hot. She beamed at me, her eyes sparkling. You still remember? I grinned. My memory is world-class. Xia Yao sat there pouting, watching us act all lovey-dovey. Resentment from Xia Yao plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. This girl definitely had a problem with me. I needed to stay on my guard. I turned to Yingxue. So, where are you guys going to school? Songjiang number 05 high, she said. Xia Yao and I are in the same class. We're seniors. I whistled. Songjiang number 05 was the only school in the city exclusively for ability users. It was elite, with top-tier facilities and teachers. They always ranked in the top 3 for the provincial leagues. Xia Yao smirked. Competition isn't really a thing for us. Yingxue is a bronze 9-star fire user. Her damage output is insane. And with my bronze 7-star support ability, we're unstoppable. If it wasn't for that bastard Luo. Xia Yao, don't. Yingxue interrupted, her brow furrowing. Xia Yao bit her lip, looking frustrated. She turned to me. Can't Jiang Nin join our team? He's a bit of a scammer, but he's trustworthy. Plus, he's a space type. His crowd control would be god tier. Yingxue shook her head firmly. I'll handle my own problems. How? Xia Yao exploded. He's backed you into a corner. If I wasn't there, what would you even do? Yingxue didn't answer. She just went back to eating her skewers in silence. I didn't push it. Instead, I pulled out my phone and showed Xia Yao my QR code. I gave her a meaningful look. She looked confused but scanned it anyway. As soon as we were friends, I sent her a private message. Tell me the full story when we're alone. Xia Yao's anger vanished instantly. She reached under the table and lightly tapped my knee with her long leg, giving me a look that said, Finally, you're being useful. So, I said, turning back to Yingxue. Is the Zhong family treating you well? She smiled. My foster parents are great. The old man is a bit strict, but he means well. What about you? How have you been these last few years? I scratched my head. Just getting by. I moved out of the orphanage when I was 16 and rented a small place. I've done it all. Grilled skewers at the university gate, sold cold noodles, waited tables. Eventually, I realized the night market stall was where the real money was. School at Jiangxing number 1 is going fine, too. The table went silent. Both girls were staring at me, their eyes filled with pity. I had meant it to sound normal, but to them, I was a tragic figure. They were probably imagining a 16-year-old boy sweating over a hot grill just to pay rent. Xia Yao's expression softened. She actually looked guilty. She probably thought I sold those fading shorts because I was starving. Okay, she whispered. I guess I can forgive you for the short since you've had it so rough. I blinked. I wasn't actually suffering. I had 2 hands and 2 feet. I could provide for myself just fine. There were people way worse off than me. But these two had already built a movie in their heads where I was a struggling hero. Xiaoyao suddenly reached into her bag and slapped a bank card on the table. There's 100,000 yuan on this. Ingxue started digging through her purse too. I have 50,000 here. I looked at the cards, then back at them. I kept my face dead serious. Look, I know I'm handsome and charming, but I have standards. Are you two trying to buy me? Because I'm not that kind of guy. Resentment from Xiaoyao plus 999. Resentment from Zhong Ingxue plus 666. I wouldn't buy you if you were the last man on earth. Xiaoyao screamed. You bald, black-hearted scammer. Ingxue giggled, her sadness vanishing. You're still so playful, Xiaonan. We finished the meal in high spirits. As we were getting ready to leave, Xiaoyao held out her hand. Give me your phone. I handed over my beat-up budget phone. The screen was shattered into a spiderweb of cracks. Xiaoyao looked horrified. What is this piece of junk? I'm buying you a new one tomorrow. I leaned back, considering it. Does your SUV have a spot for a hood ornament? Because I'm ready to stop working hard and just be your trophy boy. Resentment from Xiaoyao plus 333. Shut up and smile for the camera, she laughed. The 3 of us crowded together. Xiaoyao wrapped an arm around my neck, squeezing so hard my face deformed. Ingxue leaned her head on my shoulder, flashing a peace sign. Click. In the photo, Xiaoyao had a skewer in her mouth. I looked like I was being strangled, and Ingxue looked like an angel. If your bald head wasn't reflecting so much light, this would be perfect, Xiaoyao joked. Send it to me, Ingxue said. I want it as my wallpaper. I stood up and headed for the counter. I've got this. You guys helped me sell the stock today, so dinner is on me. They tried to argue, but I wouldn't let them. I asked the boss for the total. 341 yuan, he said. Make it 340 even, I bargained. He nodded. I pulled out my phone and scanned the payment code with a flourish. A second later, a robotic voice rang out from my phone. Asterisk transaction failed. Insufficient balance. Asterisk. My heart stopped. Insufficient? I had just made a killing at the market. I quickly opened my digital wallet and stared at the screen. My balance was 124.69 yuan. I felt the blood drain from my face. Where was my money? Where was all the cash from the potions and the shorts? I had tracked every single cent in my head. Someone had robbed me. It should have been 12,000 for 169 yuan. Instead, the balance was off by a factor of 100. The decimal point had moved 2 places to the left, leaving me with barely enough for a snack. Hey, little decimal point, I whispered to my phone, my voice trembling. Be a good boy and move back home. I'm sorry for whatever I did. Just give me my money back. I rubbed my eyes and looked again. It wasn't a glitch. I really only had 100-some yuan left. The restaurant owner was staring at me now, his eyes filled with suspicion. He looked at the 2 beautiful girls sitting with me, then back at my phone. What's the deal, kid? The owner asked. You bring 2 ladies out for a feast, and you can't pay? You're not trying to dine and dash, are you? I ignored him. My mind was screaming. Asterisk system. Where's my money? Where is the hard-earned cash I made by smashing bricks against my own head? Asterisk. A notification pinged in my mind. Asterisk congratulations to the host for successfully paying the stall fee. Within the stall's range, the host has activated invincible mode. Asterisk. Asterisk the paid stall fee has been automatically converted into skill points at a ratio of 100 to 1. Skill learning section now open. Congratulations. Asterisk. Congratulations, your sister. I cursed internally. What use are skill points right now? Can I use them to pick up girls? Can I buy a pancake with them? What the hell is a stall fee? The system replied instantly. Asterisk all transactions completed at the stall are subject to a fee. The split is 9.99 to 0.01. Fees are automatically converted to skill points for the host's development. Asterisk. My brain short-circuited. I had heard of a 50/50th split. I had even heard of a 90/10th split. But a 9.99 to 0.01 split? The system was taking over 99% of my earnings? I had risked my life selling those potions and socks. That wasn't just money. That was my lifeblood. You're killing me. I roared in my head. This is robbery. Asterisk detection of host insulting the system. Penalty initiated. Asterisk. I watched in horror as my balance dropped from 124.69 to 24.69 yuan. I froze. The system had me by the throat, and it knew it. I stood there, paralyzed, looking pitifully at Zhong Yingxue. The restaurant owner rolled his eyes. Look, kid, if you can't afford it, don't act like a big shot. His words felt like a dagger to my pride. Zhong Yingxue just smiled, walked over, and settled the bill. She patted my shoulder gently. That day, I learned exactly what embarrassment tasted like. I forgot my password. I stammered, trying to save face. My fingerprint is worn off. My WeChat isn't linked. My phone is dying. Xiaoyao walked over, looking confused. What's taking so long? Nothing. Zhong Yingxue lied gracefully. Jiang Nan's phone just lagged. I was in a daze. I barely remember how I got back to the entrance of the alley. I watched the Mercedes G-Wagon pull away, and Yingxue waved goodbye from the window. I wanted to scream. Why were they leaving so fast? Where were the offers of 500,000 yuan to be their trophy boy? Wait, I have more to say. I shouted at the receding taillights. Yingxue, Xiaoyao, I'm not proud anymore. I'm ready to be kept. Come back. Don't leave me like this. With only 24.69 yuan in my pocket, the world felt gray. As I walked past my landlord's barbecue stall, the sound of shouting and cursing snapped me out of my depression. I looked up, and my eyes turned cold. A group of guys occupied a large table. The leader was a shirtless man with a thick gold chain and a massive dragon tattoo sprawling over his shoulder. He was surrounded by 6 or 7 spiritual youths in white tank tops and tight pants, all sporting matching shaved heads. They were being loud and obnoxious, making the other customers uneasy. Where's the damn beer? The dragon-tattooed leader barked. If the skewers don't come out soon, I'm going to lose it. Coming right up, brother. Old Zhou, the landlord, called out nervously. His daughter, Zhou Yuqing, came out to help. She was wearing her school uniform under an apron, her hair tied in a ponytail. She looked like the quintessential girl next door, innocent and small. As she brought over a tray of large beer mugs, the men's eyes didn't go to the drinks. They went to her. Yuqing looked terrified. Here's your beer, brothers. The extra glass is on the house. The leader grinned, revealing a row of yellow teeth. He reached out and grabbed her wrist. Don't leave so soon, little sister. Stay and drink with us. I'll give you 1,000 yuan. Let go, Yuqing cried, trying to pull away. But the man's grip was like iron, turning her wrist bright red. Old Zhou rushed over, trying to intervene. Please, brother, she's just a kid. Tell you what, this meal is on me. Yuqing, go inside. The lackeys stood up, shouting. You think our boss can't afford a meal? You looking down on us? The leader didn't let go. His face darkened. I want her to stay, and she's staying. Yuqing's eyes welled with tears. Just as things were about to turn ugly, a man at a nearby table couldn't take it anymore. He stood up and yelled, You've had a few beers and forgotten who you are? She's a high schooler. Have some shame. The leader grabbed a beer bottle, ready to smash it over the man's head. But before he could swing, a hand reached out and caught the bottle firmly. I stood there smiling. What the hell? Where did this little bald head come from? The leader growled. Brother Jiangnan? Yuqing whispered, her fear suddenly vanishing. You want to mind someone else's business, kid? The leader spat. I chuckled. Brother, I think I understand what you want. I pointed to my own shaved head. I've admired your reputation for a long time. I wanted to join you. By the way, what was your name again? Resentment from Wang Chong plus 666. You've admired me but don't know my name? The man, Wang Chong, sneered. It's Brother Chong. You want to join? Fine. Go give that guy who spoke up some color to look at. Then I'll consider it. I grinned. That's easy. I picked up the beer bottle and walked over to the helpful man who had stood up for Yuqing. I put a hand on his shoulder and forced him back into his seat. The man glared at me. You little brat, joining these thugs at your age? I ignored him. I held up the green bottle. See this? This is green. I pointed to a white plate. This is white. And the beer in this glass? That's yellow. In English, we call that yellow. The entire stall went silent. Everyone was staring at me like I was insane. Wang Chong exploded. Are you kidding me? I said give him some color, as in beat him up, Not give him a damn art lesson. Yellow? Yellow your grandfather. Asterisk resentment from Wang Chong plus 999. Resentment from Helpful Man plus 666. Resentment from Zhou Yuqing plus 521. Asterisk. You're playing with me, kid. Wang Chong roared, lunging upward. I didn't hesitate. I swung the beer bottle back and brought it down directly onto Wang Chong's shiny bald head. The glass shattered into 1,000 pieces, and blood immediately began to pour down his face. The sudden violence left everyone frozen in shock. I wasn't playing anymore. I cracked Wang Chong's bald head wide open. Holy crap, I muttered, looking at the mess. I pointed at his blood-slicked forehead. Hey, Wang Chong, see that? What color is that? The Helpful Man nearby chimed in. It's red, bright red. I nodded with fake pride. Exactly. Now that's a proper color lesson. Wang Chong clutched his head, screaming in pain. His lackey's eyes turned bloodshot with rage. One of them smashed a beer bottle and lunged at me, trying to stab the jagged glass into my gut. I didn't blink. I snatched his wrist, twisted it until the bone groaned, and delivered a front kick straight to his chest. He flew 7 or 8 meters back, slamming into the alley wall like a rag doll. Suddenly, a notification flashed in my vision. Asterisk skill triggered. Unarmed combat, level 1. Add skill points. Asterisk. I froze. I had 123 skill points available. Points converted from those stall fees the system had scammed out of me. So this was what my money bought. Max it out, I shouted in my head. Give me everything. Asterisk 100 points added. Unarmed combat level 100 reached. Automatic upgrade. Unarmed combat mastery level 1. Asterisk. In an instant, a flood of combat data rushed into my brain. My vision sharpened. I realized just how much potential this system had. Another thug swung at me, but I slipped past him like he was standing still. I grabbed the back of his head and drove my knee into his face. His nose shattered, spraying blood everywhere. Within seconds, all 7 or 8 tough guys were writhing on the ground, wailing. Wang Chong stood there, completely stunned. I stepped up and delivered a slap, so hard he spun 3 times before hitting the dirt, spitting out half his teeth. Zhou Yuqing watched from the sidelines, her hands over her mouth. Her eyes were wide with shock. To her, it probably looked like an action movie. I had taken down a whole gang without breaking a sweat. It felt amazing to finally vent. These idiots had been ruining a perfectly good dinner. Little brother, you're a beast, one of the older customers laughed. I rubbed the back of my head and grinned. Keep eating, guys. Don't let these losers ruin your appetite. I just need a private word with this grandson. I reached down and grabbed Wang Chong by the waistband. He weighed over 200 pounds, but with my new strength, I lifted him off the ground with one hand like he was a bag of groceries. His lackeys looked on in pure terror. They realized they had picked a fight with a monster. I dragged them to the corner of the alley. I planted my foot firmly on the hand Wang Chong had used to grab Yuqing and started grinding my heel down. He let out a pathetic, high-pitched wail. A pig being slaughtered at New Year's makes less noise than you, I growled. Brother, little brother, stop, Wang Chong sobbed. We were wrong. Can't we just say we were wrong? I cocked an eyebrow. You were wrong. Wang Chong shook his head violently. No, we are wrong. We're sorry. Get up, I commanded. Stand on one leg, hands behind your heads, and smile for me. It was a ridiculous sight. The lackeys scrambled to obey, but for a fat man like Wang Chong, balancing on one leg was torture. Every time his foot touched the ground, I kicked him. Eventually, he had to lean against the wall, trembling, wearing a smile that looked more like he was passing a kidney stone. We'll pay for the food, they shouted, frantically pulling out their wallets. We'll pay for the broken tables too. A few minutes later, I had about 8,000 yuan in my hand. I nodded, satisfied. Smart move. Keep your eyes open from now on. I cover this stall, and I live right around here. If I catch you getting rowdy after a few drinks again, you know what happens. They nodded frantically, promising to never show their faces again. I turned to walk back, but then I spun around suddenly. Who told you that you could put your legs down? You want another beating? They scrambled back into their flamingo poses instantly. Resentment from Wang Chong plus 999. Back at the stall, the locals cheered. Drink with us, kid. We don't see many young men with your backbone these days. You go to high school number 5, right? Just be careful. They might come looking for trouble later. It's fine, I said with a laugh. I handled it. Yuqing ran over, looking frantic. Xiaonan, are you okay? You scared me to death. What if they come back? They won't, I assured her. I handed the stack of cash to Auntie Zhou. Here, this is for the food and the damage. Oh my God, this is too much, she exclaimed. Keep it, I insisted. Consider the extra as next month's rent. She tried to argue, but I wouldn't take it back. Finally, she turned to her daughter. Yuqing, thanks Xiaonan properly. The girl stepped forward, her face flushed red. Thank you, brother Xiaonan. Her heart was clearly still racing. I patted her head. I'll walk you home. As we walked through the quiet streets, Yuqing stayed close to my side. Brother Xiaonan, can I ever be as strong as you? You're only 15 or 16, I said. You'll likely awaken an ability soon. The prime age is 16, so just hang in there. I'll listen to you, she whispered, her face turning even redder. Can I walk to school with you tomorrow? She looked like she had used every ounce of courage to ask that. I nodded, and she beamed. Then I'll wake you up tomorrow morning. I'll knock on the door this time. I winced, remembering the morning's misunderstanding, but I didn't say anything. Back in my room, I checked my system. Zheng Wei was still generating resentment points. That guy really held a grudge. I started thinking about the stall fee I'd paid. The system said that within the stall's range, the owner is invincible. Was it worried I'd get killed for selling scam products? I had earned over 300,000 resentment points today. I couldn't resist. I went for 3 10 pulls on the gacha. The first 10 gave me 1 cleansing fruit and a bottle of stamina potion. But the consolation prizes had changed. Instead of thank you for playing, I got a pound of detoxifying yellow beans. After 20 more pulls, I had 20 pounds of these beans. The description said, asterisk can neutralize all deadly poisons. Crunchy, tastes like chicken, asterisk. The system store also updated. I could now buy stamina potions directly for 100 resentment points each. I felt like a total idiot. I had been spending 10,000 points per draw just to get a potion that cost 100. This system was a scam artist. I looked at the yellow beans. Did they actually work? I didn't dare try one. The stamina potion had already made me bald, and my hair still hadn't grown back. Who knew what the side effects of these beans were? Consolation prizes were clearly traps. I sighed, feeling my own resentment rising. If I could collect points for myself, I'd be a millionaire. I swallowed another cleansing fruit, feeling my body strengthen once again. My cultivation level jumped. I was now a Black Iron 8 star. I wondered if there was a limit to how much I could improve my potential. With all the cleansing fruits I'd eaten, my talent had to be at least A rank by now. I decided not to overthink it. Thinking too much just gave me a headache. Back when my talent was trash, my cultivation was slow, and my space-type ability felt useless. But now that I had a real chance, I wasn't going to waste it. I pulled out my cheap, domestic brand smartphone and started scrolling. Suddenly, my class group chat exploded with notifications. Someone had tagged me. Holy crap, the male god is viral again. The Weibo video has over 1 million views. I looked it up. It was a video of me at the Jiangxing night market. There I was, shouting at the top of my lungs and smashing bricks against my forehead. The comments were losing it. He really broke them. What an absolute iron-headed beast, one user wrote. Another chimed in. He shatters testing machines by day and bricks by night. Is our male god really this busy? Someone tagged me directly. Male god, can you crack a motorcycle with your head? I typed back immediately. I can crack a motorcycle, and I can drive an excavator too. The chat erupted in laughter. Then I saw it. Resentment points from Li Xiang plus 999. I chuckled behind the screen. I was curious, so I downloaded Weibo and registered an account. I named myself Baldy Old Man and used a picture of a famous quirky teacher as my profile photo. I found the video of me smashing bricks. It had 1.5 million views and over 10,000 comments. I was there. It was real, one comment said. Another girl wrote, even though he's bald, he's actually pretty handsome. Totally my type. Someone replied to her, forget it. I saw 2 absolute beauties helping him sell his stuff. They were gorgeous. I couldn't pass up a chance to farm more resentment. I replied to that comment with a photo Xia Yao had taken earlier. It showed me standing with both girls. Brother, you saw right. I wrote, attaching the picture. I checked my WeChat next. I found Zhong Yingshua's profile. I sent her the photo. She replied instantly. It's so late and you're still on your phone? Go to sleep. Good night. My heart practically melted. Then I sent the photo to Xia Yao. I stared at the name. Was she serious? That was way more intense than just being a tough guy. She didn't reply, probably already asleep. I decided to call it a night too. The next morning, everything blew up. My class chat was a war zone. Male god, who are those two beauties? How did you land them? You can get girls by smashing bricks. That silver-haired girl is so cool. Even I'm falling for her. And I'm a girl. Wait, don't you recognize them? That's Zhong Yingxue, the campus belle of Songjiang Linwu High. And the other is the Silver Wolf, Xia Yao. She's a legendary fighter. The questions kept coming. How do you even know them? I replied, oh, they came free with my phone plan. Resentment from Zhou Bing plus 134. Resentment from Han Yuan plus 422. I love my classmates. They were like walking ATMs for points. I checked Weibo again. My followers had jumped to 10,000. My DMs were flooded. Hey handsome, want to meet up at the night market? I want to watch you smash bricks. I run a hair salon. Want a free 1-year card for perms? Oh wait. Let go of those beauties and let me at M. Those legs, those heads, so white. Then I saw a message from a user named Luo. It said, you dare touch my woman? You're dead. I didn't hesitate. I replied, if touching her meant death, I'd have died 10,000 times already. Hee. Resentment from Luo Tianxiang plus 999. Resentment from Luo Tianxiang plus 1,000. I blinked. 1,000 points? I'd never seen a single burst that high. Someone was about to pop a blood vessel. Inside a luxury villa, a young man named Luo Tianxiang sat in his pajamas. With a loud crack, he crushed his smartphone in his bare hand. His face was frozen in rage. Find out who this is, he growled to his assistant. And don't let Xuan know. On my way to school, I was in a great mood. This Luo guy was a goldmine. In just a few minutes, he'd given me enough for another 10 pull. Zhou Yuqing walked quietly beside me, occasionally stealing glances at me with a slight blush. As we reached a small alley, I saw a crowd gathered. I pushed through to see what was happening. I burst out laughing. It was Baldy Chong and his 7 goons. They were still standing on one leg, hands behind their heads, exactly where I'd left them. They had massive dark circles under their eyes, and their legs were shaking like leaves. They hadn't dared to move all night. When they saw me, they shouted in unison, "Good morning, Brother Nan." The onlookers stared at me. Was this bald kid really their boss? Zhou Yuqing's eyes were practically sparkling. "Get lost," I snapped. "It's morning. Stop embarrassing yourselves. And don't call me Brother Nan. I have a reputation to keep." They looked like they'd been granted a royal pardon and scrambled away. "Chong, are we just letting this go?" one goon whispered. "No way," Chong hissed. "The kid is clearly a spirit user. I'm going to find someone to take him down." I made it to class. Since I'd taken the top spot in the rankings, no one dared to mock me openly, but I could still feel their skepticism. So what if I had super strength? With trash-tier talent, I'd never reach silver or gold rank. Li Xiang and Li Mayan both had dark circles under their eyes. They clearly hadn't slept either. During the morning culture classes, I actually paid attention. My grades were always top of the class. I had to earn my own tuition, so I couldn't afford to slack off. Even spirit users need to be smart. At lunch, the cafeteria served green beans and potatoes. I downed 2 big bowls, though the taste was a bit off. Halfway through the afternoon session, disaster struck. Li Xiang, sitting in the front row, turned pale and clutched his stomach. Before he could even raise his hand, he collapsed, twitching and foaming at the mouth. The classroom went into a frenzy. What happened? Is he foaming? Food poisoning. The beans at lunch tasted weird. My mom said undercooked green beans are toxic. The teacher panicked. "Quick, carry him to the infirmary." My eyes lit up. This was it. A golden opportunity. I stood up and roared at the top of my lungs. "Nobody touch him." The whole class froze. "Jiang Nan, don't start your nonsense now." Li Mayan snapped, seizing the chance to attack me. "This is a life and death situation. Don't be petty just because of what happened yesterday. I ignored her. I looked the teacher dead in the eye, acting completely serious. Is carrying him to the infirmary going to help? This is acute food poisoning. He could go into shock any second. By the time the ambulance gets here, it'll be too late. Let me try. The teacher was stunned. Jiangnan, do you know how to treat people? Teacher, I said solemnly. In the backyard of my old home, there is a field with exceptionally rich spiritual energy. The soybeans grown in that field have incredible detoxifying properties. I lied, my voice steady and convincing. They work instantly. The teacher and my classmates stared at me with pure suspicion. It was true that since the spirit qi recovery began, plants across the world had started mutating with strange new effects. But soybeans that could cure acute poisoning? It sounded like a load of crap. What are you waiting for? I urged, glancing at Li Xiang. He was on the floor, twitching harder, foam bubbling at the corners of his mouth. He's going to be a corpse by the time you finish doubting me. The teacher gritted his teeth, looking at Li Xiang's pale, suffering face. Fine, we'll try it. If it doesn't work, we carry him to the infirmary immediately. Someone call an ambulance now. I didn't waste a second. I reached into my space storage. Or at least, that's what it looked like to them. In reality, I pulled a bag of detoxifying small soybeans from my system mall. I grabbed about a pound of them and popped one single bean into Li Xiang's mouth. I knew the bean would work. My big strength potion had turned me into a literal giant, so the system's items were legit. But I had no idea what the side effects were. Li Xiang, buddy, I'm sorry, I thought, watching him swallow. We're classmates, after all. Just remember, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. I have no ulterior motives. None at all. Every eye in the room was glued to Li Xiang. Could a tiny bean really save him? And was I actually being helpful, or was I setting him up for something worse given our history? Within seconds, Li Xiang's face went through a rainbow of colors. Pale, white, then suddenly a deep, healthy red. He blinked, looking completely dazed. He wiped the foam from his lips and sat up. Li Xiang, how do you feel? The teacher asked, his voice trembling with relief. Any discomfort? Li Xiang licked his lips. I felt dizzy. My stomach was killing me. But now? It's gone. I actually feel amazing. He didn't just look better, he looked energized. He looked like he could carry a 100-pound bag of rice up 10 flights of stairs without breaking a sweat. He even looked like he wanted to go out for spicy hot pot. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. The looks of doubt turned into pure awe. The effect was immediate. It really worked, someone whispered. Those beans are legendary. The teacher let out a long breath. Jiangnan, thank you. You saved him. If you hadn't stepped in, the consequences would have been unthinkable. Li Mayan stood there, looking incredibly awkward. She had just accused me of being petty, and now I was the hero. Even Li Xiang looked conflicted. He'd treated me like trash, yet I was the one who saved his life. Thanks. Thank you, Li Xiang muttered, unable to meet my eyes. Don't mention it, I said, acting humble while my heart hammered with nervousness. We're classmates. We look out for each other. Wait, I thought. Asterisk, where are the side effects? Why is he fine? Does the system only mess with me? Suddenly, the silence was broken by a collective groan. Oh no, my stomach, a student cried out. The beans from lunch, they're hitting me too. I feel it. I don't want to foam at the mouth. Jiangnan, help. The classroom erupted in a chorus of agony. The food poisoning was spreading. The teacher looked at me, desperate. Jiangnan, those beans. Take them, teacher, I said, handing over the whole bag. Give one to anyone who hurts, and one to everyone else as a preventative measure. I can't stand to see my classmates suffer. I'll thank you on behalf of the whole school, the teacher said, moved to tears by my generosity. The students were chanting my name. Jiangnan is a true god. He's the man. I just smiled. If I sold these, I'd be rich, but giving them away for free earned me something better, a reputation. The teacher hurried out with the bag, heading to other classrooms. The principal even called, frantic because the whole school was going down. When he heard I had the cure, he promised me a major merit and a spirit pearl as a reward. By the time the math lesson resumed, every student and teacher in the building had eaten a bean. The crisis was averted. Everyone felt refreshed and energized. I sat at my desk, frowning. This is too quiet, I thought. Zheng Wei drank my potion and went bald. Why is everyone fine? Then I saw it. Li Xiang's face suddenly cramped. His stomach let out a low, wet growl. Gurgle, gurgle. He tried to hold it in, his body stiffening. He glanced around, thinking no one was watching, and slightly lifted one buttock. Uffed. It was a tiny sound, almost silent. But the guy sitting behind him suddenly gagged. What the hell? Who died? The student whispered, clutching his nose. Is that a chemical weapon? Li Xiang sat perfectly still, his face a mask of stoic determination. He was trying to pretend it wasn't him. But then, the pressure became too much. The floodgates broke. Bam! Pee-pee-pow. It sounded like a double-barreled shotgun going off. The sound was so violent his chair actually vibrated. The entire classroom went dead silent. The teacher's chalk snapped against the blackboard. Slowly, every head turned toward Li Xiang. Then, the smell hit. It wasn't just a normal bad smell. It was a thick, sour, pungent stench, like a pair of unwashed gym socks that had been fermenting in a jar of rotten pickles for a year. It was biological warfare. I nearly threw up right there. My God, what did he eat for breakfast? Sour pork buns? Was that a firework? Someone gasped, choking on the air. Li Xiang, you really are grand now, aren't you? Li Xiang sat there, his hands gripping his thighs so hard they were shaking. His face was no longer red, it was purple. Beside him, two girls were literally rolling their eyes back in their heads, dry heaving into their desks. I covered my nose, a cold sweat breaking out on my neck. The side effect, it's the farts. I looked out the door toward the hallway, realizing the entire school had just eaten those beans. Oh no, it wasn't me who fed them, it was the teacher. I have nothing to do with this. Absolutely nothing. The teacher was a veteran of many battles, but even he looked stunned by that double-barreled blast. He stood there for a second, frozen. Then, he cleared his throat and tapped the blackboard with his chalk. Let's continue the lesson, he said, his voice trembling slightly. The smell didn't leave. It was thick. It was sour. It was everywhere. I looked over at Li Mayan. The class fairy was blushing a deep shade of crimson. Her knuckles were white as she gripped her ballpoint pen. She was sitting perfectly still, trying to stay elegant, trying not to let any gas escape. In the world of school beauties, there is one golden rule: fairies do not leak. But biology didn't care about her reputation. She lost control of the pressure. It wasn't a loud bang like Li Xiang's. It was a long, melodic, mournful sound. It started at a high pitch and slid down to a bass note, like a broken trombone playing a sad solo. Li Mayan, don't hold it back, I whispered, barely containing my laughter. It's not healthy. She gripped her pen so hard it literally snapped in her hand. That was just the beginning. The classroom turned into a war zone. Someone tried to cover a loud pop with a fake cough. Someone else tried to hide a puff by slamming a book shut. Another student started aggressively moving their chair to create a grinding noise. Soon, it was a full-blown orchestra. Asterisk pop bang. Puffed, whistle, asterisk. I couldn't help myself. I started tapping my palms on the desk, keeping time with the rhythm of the farts. I was a one-man percussion section for the worst concert in history. The other students looked at me, horrified, but I just kept the beat going. Is it just me, or is it getting hot in here? One student gasped, tears streaming down his face. Open the windows. For the love of God, open the windows. We scrambled to shove the windows open. A visible cloud of white vapor drifted out into the school courtyard. Down below, an old janitor was sweeping the leaves. He looked up, saw the mist, and caught a whiff of the breeze. He dropped his broom and clutched his chest. What in the Sigma? He choked out, stumbling away. Inside the room, the realization finally hit everyone. We had all eaten those yellow beans. My generous gift was the cause of this biological disaster. My vision was suddenly flooded with notifications. Resentment from Li Xiang plus $9.99. Resentment from Li Mayan plus $9.99. Resentment from class 3 plus $9.99. It wasn't just my class. The entire school had eaten those beans. The points were rolling in so fast, I thought the system might crash. I was a millionaire in resentment points, and all it cost was the school's dignity. Teacher, bathroom, Li Xiang groaned. He looked like he was about to explode. The teacher looked at me with pure, unadulterated grief. Go, he whispered. Everyone, just go. The classroom emptied in 3 seconds. It was a stampede. I sat there alone, rubbing my chin. So the side effect of the detox beans is extreme diarrhea? It made sense. To get rid of the toxins, you had to flush the system. I just didn't realize the flush would be a Category 5 hurricane. Suddenly, my own stomach gave a violent growl. I turned pale. I remembered the beans I had eaten at lunch. I quickly pulled out a detox bean and swallowed it. Tastes like chicken, I muttered. Then the retribution hit me like a freight train. I stood up and bolted for the hallway. The air in the corridor was even worse. I saw a girl with long hair and a short skirt walking ahead of me. Suddenly, her body stiffened. Her skirt fluttered upward as if caught in a gust of wind, and her long hair billowed behind her. The wind in the hallway is really strong today, I said as I ran past her. She turned around, face purple with shame, and sprinted in the opposite direction. When I reached the bathroom, I stopped dead. It was a nightmare. Every stall was occupied. People were screaming. Some students had given up on the stalls and were trying to squat over the urinals. It was total chaos. Hurry up, I'm dying out here, someone screamed, kicking a stall door. I thought it was just a fart, another guy wailed from the back of the line. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I couldn't wait. My internal clock was at 0 seconds. I focused my mind. Space ability, teleport. Zip. I vanished from the hallway and reappeared directly inside a locked stall. The guy who was already sitting there screamed at the top of his lungs. He thought he was alone, and suddenly, I was standing right in front of him. Teleporting to take a dump, he gasped, staring at me in shock. You're a legend, man. Don't look at me, I grunted, pointing at the door. Just finish your business. Do you need a hand? A guy named Ma Long asked, his face dripping with sweat. I just shook my head. I had enough on my plate. It took a massive effort, but I finally finished my business and resolved the battle in the stall. I didn't want to deal with the crowd outside, so I used my space ability again. Zip, I teleported straight back to the classroom. I realized too late that I'd left the stall door locked from the inside with no one in it. Outside, the line was losing its mind. People were pounding on the door, their voices going hoarse from screaming for me to come out. The system notifications started rolling in. I was harvesting a massive wave of resentment points from a bunch of guys who just really needed to go. I figured classes would resume once the chaos settled, but I was wrong. The school officially canceled classes for the day. The reason? The bathrooms couldn't handle the load. Half the student body had to go home to shower and change their pants. The other half was stuck in classrooms for self-study. I sat there, looking as innocent as possible, buried in my practice exams. I couldn't stand the dark, resentful glares my classmates were shooting at me. The second the bell rang, I was the first one out the door. If I stayed a minute longer, I was pretty sure they'd actually kill me. I hopped on my old bicycle and headed to the Jiangxing night market. My system was smarter than I thought. That stall fee wasn't a waste of money. As long as I was standing on my stall mat, I felt invincible. It was the only place I could hide from the mob. When I arrived, I froze. The place was packed. A sea of people was swarming my spot. Holy crap, the bald guy is here, someone shouted. I knew he'd show up. I've been waiting for this. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, giving me a direct path to my stall. I realized then that my Weibo post from yesterday had gone viral. The video of me smashing bricks over my head had exploded online. All these people were here to see the show. I saw a golden opportunity. I spread out my mat, lined up my bottles of Farmer's 3 Springs, and sat on my small stool. Behind me, I had a literal wall of red bricks ready to go. Without saying a word, I grabbed a brick and slammed it against my forehead. Crack! It shattered into dust. Whoa, he actually did it, the crowd roared. This is way better than the video. I stood up, holding a bottle high. You want to be like me? You want to smash bricks with your head, kick durians, and rip up bottle caps with your bare hands? Drink this water, and you can. Is that stuff for real? Someone shouted. You're full of it, man. You could talk a bull into getting pregnant with those lies. How much? Another guy yelled. 10,000 yuan a bottle, I said firmly. No bargaining. The crowd went silent. That's straight up robbery. I'll take one. A voice cut through the noise. A guy stepped forward. He was thin as a bamboo pole with long, flowing hair, holding a professional gimbal and a phone. He was a live streamer. He slapped 10,000 yuan in cash onto my mat. His chat was exploding with 666 and jokes about vintage 1982 farmer's water. He was clearly here to ride my coattails for views. I took the cash and handed him a bottle. He flipped his hair back with a smug grin. Bro, if I drink this and nothing happens, I'm calling you out for fraud live in front of all my fans. I shrugged. If it doesn't work, you can take my head off and kick it like a soccer ball. Deal, he laughed. Then he paused, looking confused. Wait, why would I take your head? Whatever. Bottoms up. He downed the bottle in one go. The crowd leaned in, breathless. Suddenly, the streamer let out a loud burp. He instinctively went to flip his hair again, but his hand hit smooth skin. Wait, where's my hair? He gasped. His long, flowing locks were gone. He was as bald as a cue ball. Does it work? I asked, throwing an arm around his shoulders. He looked like he was about to cry. I don't know if it works, but my hair is gone. I'm a beauty streamer. I live off my looks. The crowd was howling. Who cares about the hair? Break a brick. The streamer looked at the red bricks on the ground and turned pale. Those look real. What if my skull breaks instead? We can't have that, I said, picking up a brick. If you don't break a brick, people will think my water is fake. I have a business to run. Before he could react, I slammed the brick onto his shiny new bald head. Thud. Crack. The brick snapped in half. The streamer didn't even flinch. The crowd gasped. This skinny guy, who looked like a stiff breeze could blow him over, had just eaten a brick to the face and stayed standing. See, I grinned. Works perfectly. Crack. I hit him with another one. Crack. And another. I was starting to enjoy this. I broke about 10 bricks over his head in a row. He tried to squirm away, but I kept him locked in a shoulder grip. Stop it, he yelled. If you want to break bricks, use your own head. It doesn't hurt, but it's embarrassing as hell. The resentment points were pouring in like a flood. The crowd was losing their minds. The streamer's chat was going crazy, sending digital gifts and rockets left and right. Even though he was miserable, his follower count was skyrocketing, so he just stayed there and took it. Seeing the results, the skepticism vanished. It's only 10,000. Give me one. I'm already bald anyway. I've got nothing to lose. Cash only. I shouted back. I wanted the physical bills. I wanted to see if my system would still try to take its 99.9% cut if the money never touched a bank account. Business was booming. Even while I was taking money from new customers, I kept a brick in my other hand, occasionally cracking one over the streamer's head just for good measure. Just as things were peaking, a familiar face appeared in the crowd. It was a guy who looked like he'd been beaten black and blue, his head swollen and bald. It was the big brother from the other night. And he didn't look happy. This time, the bald guy didn't come alone. He brought 7 or 8 of his usual lackeys, but leading the pack was a man with a jagged scar across his face. Behind them followed another 30 men, all swaggering through the market with clubs and pipes in their hands. The bald guy, whose name I found out was Guang Tukyang, was grinning like a sycophant at the scarred man. Brother Ba, I'm counting on you tonight. This kid played us for fools yesterday. Brother Ba sneered, his voice dripping with arrogance. A lone brat. What else can he do? Today, I'll teach him how to be a real man. Brother Ba, you have to be careful. Guang Tukyang whispered, his eyes nervous. The kid is weird. I think he's a soul warrior. So what? Like I'm not. Brother Ba dismissed him. I'll crush him. Guang Tukyang hadn't just picked a random thug. Brother Ba had awakened his abilities during a street fight in his 30s. He was a seasoned fighter with a reputation for being ruthless. Where is he? Brother Ba asked. Guang Tukyang pointed toward the center of the crowd. Right there. The gang pushed and shoved their way through the onlookers, but when they finally reached the front, they froze. I was standing there with my arm draped around a skinny guy who looked like a shivering monkey. I was methodically smashing a red brick over his head, over and over again. Dust and red fragments were flying everywhere, and the crowd was actually cheering. Damn, he's brutal, one of the thugs whispered. The sheer impact of the bricks made Guang Tukyang's face turn pale. Brother Ba, the big tough guy, felt his knees go weak. The 30 men behind them clutched their clubs, their legs shaking. If one of those bricks hit their heads, they weren't going to the gym, they were going to the morgue. Xiangzi, Brother Ba said, his voice suddenly small. I ate too much tonight. My stomach hurts. I don't think I can use my full strength. Maybe we should come back tomorrow. Guang Tuqiang was stunned. Brother Ba, you just said you wanted to finish this quickly so you could go home for dinner. Brother Ba's face stiffened. All right. I meant I ate too much at lunch. One of the younger lackeys piped up helpfully. But Brother Ba, you didn't eat lunch today either. Slap. Brother Ba smacked the kid across the face. You talk too much. The kid rubbed his cheek, looking pathetic. Is it because I know too much? Brother Ba ignored him and quickly pulled out his phone. Hey, honey. Yeah, I'm at the night market. I'm coming home to eat right now. What? You want a pancake? Sure, no problem. He turned around and started walking away so fast he was practically sprinting. Guang Tuqiang's face went dark. Brother Ba, your phone is upside down. The screen is facing out. It's not even on. I let out a cold laugh. Hey, why are you leaving? You came all this way to see me, didn't you? Want to try a brick? Guang Tuqiang shivered and forced a pathetic smile. No, I just brought the boys to, support your business, Brother Nan. He had no choice but to fold. Even his big boss, Brother Ba, had turned into a coward. The crowd mocked them as they scurried away. You brought all those people just to get scared by one brick? I didn't have time for them. I was busy collecting cash. In the blink of an eye, my 10 bottles of Farmer's 3 Springs were gone. Boss, where do you get this stuff? A customer asked. It's like magic. I grinned. My backyard has high spiritual energy. The well water mutated. You're selling well water for 10,000 a bottle? That's highway robbery. I shrugged, leaning back. I don't produce the water. I'm just nature's porter. Nature's porter my ass. Is the well for sale? I'll buy it. There is no well, I muttered to myself. I didn't even have a backyard. I was thinking about whether to sell more when the sound of screeching tires cut through the noise. 3 black Lincolns and 3 Land Rovers pulled up to the market entrance. A young man stepped out of the lead Lincoln. He had permed hair, pale skin, and sharp features that screamed spoiled rich kid. He looked like he was made of money. 30 muscular men in sunglasses stepped out of the Land Rovers. Each one radiated a powerful, intimidating aura. They were all soul warriors. In this world, ranks go from black iron to bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, starry, and heaven, each with 10 stars. These bodyguards were at least bronze level. Move. Everyone get out of the way for young Master Luo. The crowded market went silent. People were pushed aside, but nobody dared to complain. This level of firepower was not something you messed with. Luo Tianxiang walked straight to my stall, his face twisted in a sneer. He pointed a finger right at my nose. So it's you little clown. You've provoked someone you can't afford to cross. You want to die? I'll help you. I let go of the streamer, Su Yuan, and wiped the brick dust off my hands. Who are you again? You just got here and your mouth already smells like a toilet. Did you have dinner in a sewer? Su Yuan, who had just escaped my grip, started shaking with suppressed laughter, nearly dropping his camera. The live stream chat was exploding. I know that guy. That's Luo Tianxiang from the Luo family. This stall owner is a legend. He's facing down a whole army, and he's still talking trash. Resentment points from Luo Tianxiang plus 1,000. I suddenly remembered who this guy was. He was the Luo guy from Weibo who had been harassing Zhong Yingxue. He actually tracked me down. I didn't care how many people he brought or how rich he was. As long as I was standing on my stall mat, I was invincible. I didn't pay my stall fees for nothing. Luo Tianxiang was shaking with rage. You think you're funny? Listen, I don't care who you are or what your relationship is with Zhong Yingxue. Stay away from her. I have status. I have money. I can give her everything. You're a broke loser. If I see you near her again, I'll make sure you never see tomorrow's sun. I frowned. So he was here because of Zhong Yingxue. I remembered her looking annoyed whenever his name came up. Well, since he delivered himself to my doorstep, I wasn't going to let him off easy. I rubbed my chin thoughtfully. Never see tomorrow's sun? Why? Did you check the weather forecast? Is it supposed to rain tomorrow? The crowd lost it. Someone actually snorted out loud. The weather forecast? He's a genius. Luo Tianxiang's teeth gritted so hard I thought they might crack. To hell with your forecast. You want to die? Fine. Grab him. Take him away. Two of the bodyguards lunged at me like hungry tigers. One was a 9-star bronze, the other was silver rank. Even without using their flashy abilities in public, their physical strength was terrifying. Normally, a black iron rank like me, even with space abilities and a power potion, would be crushed instantly. But I was standing on my mat. The first guard threw a punch that whistled through the air, aimed straight for my stomach. I stepped to the side with impossible speed, grabbed his arm, and yanked. Crack. The sound of his shoulder popping out of its socket made everyone wince. As the guard stumbled, I felt the second one coming from behind. I grabbed a red brick and slammed it down toward the bodyguard's head. Panic flared in his eyes. He didn't care about the rules anymore. He tried to trigger his beastification ability to tank the hit. Nothing happened. The brick shattered against his skull with a sickening thud, and the giant of a man crumpled to the ground. The other guard, a silver rank, saw his partner go down and tried to summon his water ability. He strained, his face turning purple, but his power wouldn't manifest. He looked completely bewildered. This was a first for him. I didn't give him time to think. I was a master of hand-to-hand combat. I lunged forward, grabbed his arm, and twisted. A sharp crack echoed through the market as I snapped his bone. Before he could scream, I drove my boot into his knee. Another snap. The sound made the crowd shiver. Both bodyguards were down, drenched in cold sweat from the pain, but they didn't dare make a sound. I stood there, looking solemn, and beckoned the air like a grandmaster. I want to fight 10 people. I shouted. The onlookers were stunned. Is that master it, man? Where are the other 9? He just took out 2 high rankers like they were nothing. Resentment from Luo Tianxiang plus 1,000. How is this possible? Luo Tianxiang stuttered. His brain was short-circuiting. You're only a 9-star black iron. One of the fallen guards groaned. Young master, be careful. This kid is wrong. He might have a domain ability. Don't get close. Luo Tianxiang's face twisted with rage. I don't care. Everyone get him. I want to see how long he lasts. If you keep fighting, I'm calling the police, someone yelled from the crowd. Su Yuan, the streamer, chimed in too. My viewers are watching this live. It won't look good if this continues. She wanted to help me out since I'd helped her gain so many followers tonight. Luo Tianxiang ground his teeth. Even with the Luo family's massive influence, having awakened users start a public brawl was a huge taboo. The government was working hard to maintain social stability in this new era of spiritual recovery. If a scandal broke out here, his family would be at the center of a storm they couldn't easily suppress. You wait, Luo Tianxiang hissed, his voice dripping with venom. I will make your life a living hell. Believe me, I have the power. I let out a cold laugh. Barking dogs don't bite. We're leaving, Luo Tianxiang roared. He slammed his phone onto the pavement in a fit of rage and turned to walk away. That was his second phone today, both destroyed because of me. Hey, don't go yet. I shouted. I started packing my stall at lightning speed. By the time I reached the market entrance, his stretched Lincoln was already pulling away. The crowd watched me go, whispering in awe. Is the stall owner chasing him? I can't believe the great young Master Luo suffered such a loss at the night market. I wasn't about to let him off that easily. As the Lincoln sped away, I pulled out my cheap, domestic brand phone. With a flash of my space ability, I vanished. Inside the car, Luo Tianxiang was trying to calm down with a glass of champagne. Suddenly, I appeared right next to him in the back seat, throwing my arm around his shoulder. His eyes nearly popped out of his head. He was so terrified he spilled the champagne all over his crotch. What the? Smile for the camera, buddy. I grinned. Click. The camera flashed, and I vanished instantly. The driver, startled by the sudden noise, slammed on the brakes. The momentum sent Luo Tianxiang flying forward. Because his pants were soaked, he slid right off the seat, and his head got wedged deep into the car's built-in wine cabinet. A split second later, the Land Rover following them couldn't stop in time and rear-ended the Lincoln. The impact caused the wine cabinet to collapse right on top of him. His muffled screams filled the car. Later, walking home, I scrolled through my phone. The photo was perfect. I looked radiant, while Luo Tianxiang looked like he'd seen a ghost. his face pale and his pants soaked in a very suggestive way. Not very photogenic, is he? I muttered. I lay on my bed and decided to touch up the photo a bit before sending it to Xiaoyao. Who is this guy? I messaged her. He came looking for me at the night market. Do you know him? A few minutes later, she replied. Her contact name was Wolf Lady. Haraha. What happened? How did you turn Luo Tianxiang into this mess? Did he pee himself? She sent a gif of a bunny rolling on the floor laughing. Nan, I freaking love you for this. I replied. He told me to stay away from Shueshua. I took care of it. Her tone turned serious. Are you okay? He's trash, but he's an 8-star bronze with a beastification ability. He's dangerous. Do I look like I'm in trouble? I sent back. I'm dying to know how you did it, Xiaoyao wrote. But seriously, be careful. He's a snake. He loves playing dirty behind people's backs. Shueshua and I have both suffered because of him. My eyes narrowed. What do you mean? What happened? Xiaoyao explained that their awakened team consisted of her, Zhong Yingxue, Luo Tianxiang, and a guy named Han Cheng. Luo Tianxiang had been obsessed with Yingxue for a long time. His family was powerful in the north, and even Yingxue's grandfather felt pressured to encourage the match. It was okay at first, Xiaoyao continued, but then he started getting aggressive. He tried to isolate her in the spirit realms, not letting any other guys near her. The worst part was a dinner where he tried to spike her drink. If I hadn't noticed, it would have been over for her. Now, just seeing him makes me want to puke. Reading that, my blood turned to ice. I was never a saint. Zhong Yingxue was the only person in this world who truly mattered to me. We had survived the orphanage together, and I remembered every single kind thing she had ever done for me. If the Luo family thought they could touch her, they were dead wrong. I didn't care who they were. I was going to make Luo Tianxiang regret ever being born. I shook off the anger and typed back. Tomorrow is Saturday. No school. You want to go on a date, gorgeous? I attached a flirty gif. Her reply came almost instantly. What exactly do you want to do to me? I felt a shiver run down my spine. Thinking of Xiaoyao, her short silver hair and her explosive personality, I couldn't help but swallow hard. This girl was something else. I was surprised she was being so cooperative. I expected her to still be angry about the whole short-circuiting incident earlier, but I guess I underestimated her. You're not mad about the shorts anymore? I messaged back. As if I'd dare, she replied. I'm terrified of your invincible headlock. Resentment points from Xiaoyao plus 333. I don't just put anyone in a headlock, I typed, smiling. Anyway, tell me, why are we going out tomorrow? To cause trouble, obviously, I replied. An eye for an eye. Why keep a guy like Luo Tianxiang around when we can take him out first? You actually have a plan? Xiaoyao's excitement was palpable through the screen. Count me in. Let's do this. What I didn't know was that across town, Xiaoyao was literally jumping for joy on her bed. She quickly typed out a warning. Keep this covert. Don't tell Shueshua. A moment later, her status changed to panicked. Crap. I was too loud. Shueshua just came into my room. I stared at my phone. They lived together? Since when? My mind started racing. Had Xiaoyao already made a move on my girl? I felt like I'd just stumbled onto some forbidden knowledge. Can't talk now, she finished. I'll pick you up at your place tomorrow morning. Back in her room, Zhong Yingxue stood in the doorway, wearing a thin white silk nightgown. She rubbed her sleepy eyes, looking ethereal. Xiaoyao, what are you screaming about in the middle of the night? Go to sleep. Xiaoyao immediately switched to her cute, clingy act. I had a nightmare. I'm so scared. Shueshua, sleep with me. Zhong Yingxue didn't even blink. In your dreams. She turned around, closed the door, and left. Cold. I loved it. Meanwhile, I was lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling as a plan began to take shape in my head. A wicked grin spread across my face. I checked my resentment points. Over 700,000. My classmates were truly the gift that kept on giving. Time for a shopping spree. I went for a 10 pull on the system gantry. Thank you for playing. Consolation prize. 1 pound of yellow bean sprouts. I was used to the system's stinginess by now. I kept going. After a few more pulls, I ended up with 3 marrow-cleansing fruits and 47 pounds of sprouts. The system even added the sprouts to the shop for 200 points each. I wanted to complain, but I didn't have the energy. I did 2 more 10 pulls. 1 more fruit, but the rest of the prizes were new. Consolation prize, a bundle of spiritual chives. Effect, increases masculinity and happiness. Lasts for 3 days and 3 nights. Suitable for men and women. I stared at the screen, stunned. Spiritual chives? This was basically a natural version of the little blue pill, but on steroids. 3 days and 3 nights without stopping? That was terrifying. Part of me wanted to cook them up with some eggs just to see what would happen, but I chickened out. This was a matter of lifelong happiness. I couldn't just experiment on myself. I took out the 4 marrow-cleansing fruits and ate them like a hamster snacking on seeds. I could feel my talent improving, and my cultivation reached the peak of Iron Rank 10. I was 1 step away from bronze. However, by the 5th fruit, I realized I'd hit a limit. My talent wasn't budging anymore. Even these fruits had a cap. Naturally, the system added them to the shop for 100,000 points each. Ridiculous. I took a deep breath and checked my space storage. A soul-crushing wail escaped my lips. The 100,000 yuan I'd made from selling my special water had been processed by the system's 9.99 to 0.01 conversion rate. I had exactly 1,000 yuan left in my pocket. On the bright side, I had 1,013 skill points. My scream was so loud it woke up Zhou Yuqing next door. She probably thought I'd slammed my toe into a cabinet or dropped my phone on my face. It was that kind of pain. I checked my skill panel. Hand-to-hand combat. Proficient LV1, brick smashing, LV0. I blinked. Smashing bricks was a skill now? I guess the system recorded it after I took down that thug. Well, I had points to burn. I dumped 100 points into it. Brick smashing, proficient LV1. Suddenly, a flood of information rushed into my brain. I realized I'd been wrong. Smashing a brick wasn't just a brute force move. It was a high-level art form. There were angles, leverage points, and psychological tactics. I felt like a master. I dumped the rest of my points into hand-to-hand combat, bringing it to LV91. But then it stopped. To level up further, it now cost 10 points per level. The system was such a scam. It could have told me that beforehand. Exhausted and bitter, I drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I was outside brushing my teeth when I heard a commotion in the alley. I had a feeling I knew what it was. I threw on some clothes and ran out. Parked at the entrance of the narrow alley was a Koenigsegg Agera, glowing blue and looking like a spaceship. Xia Yao was leaning against it, wearing sunglasses, a denim jacket over a crop top, and tight light-colored jeans that showed off her long legs. A white beret covered her silver hair. The neighborhood elders were all staring, gossiping about who this rich girl could be waiting for. Even Zhou Yuqing was there, looking curious. "Where are you going, Brother Lin Yuan?" Yuqing asked. "There's no school today. Just meeting a friend for some business," I said, waving. Xia Yao saw me and waved back frantically. "Lin Yuan, over here." She was literally glowing. Zhou Yuqing's jaw dropped. She looked at me, then at the car, her brow furrowed. I could see the questions swimming in her eyes. Why was I renting a room if I knew people this wealthy? Was I going to move away? I ignored the stares and walked over. "Xia Yao, I thought you said we were being covert. This car costs 11 million yuan. Xia Yao laughed and rubbed my head. My hair had grown back into a short buzz cut, and she seemed to like the texture. "I am being covert. If I drove the big SUV, Shue would have noticed. It took me forever to decide on Little Blue here. You have so many cars you had to debate which one was low profile." I sighed, looking at her seriously. "I've decided. I don't want to work hard anymore. Please, take care of me." Resentment points from Xia Yao plus 333. Stop talking nonsense and get in. Under the stunned gazes of the neighbors, the scissor doors swung open, and I slid into the leather seat. The engine roared to life, and the blue ghost tore away, leaving the dusty alley behind. I winced as I heard the bottom of the blue ghost scrape against the pavement. That sound hurt my soul, but Xia Yao didn't seem to care at all. She looked thrilled, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "So, what's the plan?" she asked. I gave her a wicked grin. "Where's Li Xiang right now?" "He should be at home," she replied without missing a beat. "He's heading to the Luo Tian building later." I did my homework. "Let's go," I said. "His house first." "Orders received, boss." Xia Yao was fully committed to the bit now. We pulled up outside the Haitian Villa district. I stayed in the car and pulled out my phone to order delivery. Xia Yao leaned over, curious about what I was doing. "Get me some buns," she said. "All meat." Then, she reached over and handed me a brand new iPhone 11. I froze, staring at the box. "What are you waiting for?" "It's for you," she said. "I told you I'd get you a new one." I felt a wave of genuine emotion. It really feels great not having to work hard for things. Resentment points from Xia Yao plus 666. Her face flushed red. She leaned in close to my ear, her breath warm against my skin. "I've got plenty of soft rice for you to live off, little brother. Do you want a bite?" I stayed righteous. "Actually, I have very weak teeth. I can't handle anything hard." Xia Yao rolled her eyes, defeated by my shamelessness. "You're too much. Shueshua told me that when you were a kid, you'd reach into a mouse hole just to see what was inside." I didn't believe her then, but I do now. I couldn't even argue. I definitely did that. A few minutes later, the delivery guy arrived. He stood at the entrance of the villa area, looking completely lost. I hopped out of the car and waved him over. The guy stared at me, then at the 11 million yuan Koenigsegg behind me. He looked like his brain had short-circuited. Why was a guy driving a hypercar ordering budget takeout? Xia Yao watched from the car, confused as I chatted with the guy and slipped him 500 yuan. Suddenly, the delivery guy started taking off his clothes. She gasped, clutching her chest. She thought something scandalous was happening in broad daylight, but then she saw me pull on the blue delivery uniform and a matching cap. I tucked my face behind 5 layers of masks and got back into the car. I tossed the bag of buns to Xia Yao. She looked at them, then at me. "Wait, you didn't order breakfast to actually eat it?" "Of course not," I said matter-of-factly. What respectable young person eats breakfast these days? Resentment points from Xia Yao plus 888. "Stay in the car and keep your face hidden," I warned her. The blue ghost roared, heading deeper into the luxury district. We left the delivery guy standing there in his underwear, shivering in the wind, wondering if rich people were all this insane. The guards didn't even try to stop a car that expensive. They were too busy admiring the sleek lines of the little blue to notice the driver. I parked, grabbed the thermal delivery box, and stepped out in my full courier gear. I opened the box and pulled out a bottle of soy milk. It was time for the secret ingredient. I poured in half a bottle of my stamina potion and added the powdered remains of 10 detox beans. I was feeling generous. I walked up to the villa and rang the bell. Delivery. An old butler in a tuxedo opened the door. He stared at my uniform, confused. Before he could speak, I beat him to it. "Are you Mr. Li?" I asked. The butler frowned, wondering if his young master had actually ordered food. Before he could process it, I shoved the buns and the spiked soy milk into his hands. I said, giving him a heavy wink before turning on my heel and walking away. "Don't forget to give me a 5-star rating." Upstairs, Li Xiang was drying his hair. He had massive dark circles under his eyes and a bandage on his cheek. His head still had a giant lump from when he smashed into the wine cabinet the night before. "Old you, who was that?" he called out. "A delivery guy, sir. Did you order food?" Li Xiang was confused. He hadn't ordered anything. But he was hungry, and he was too lazy to go find food himself. "Just leave it on the table. I'll eat it in a bit." He sat on the sofa and took a big gulp of the soy milk. "Damn, this is watered down. It's so thin." But the flavor was actually quite rich. As he finished the bottle, he felt a sudden surge of energy. His fatigue vanished, and he felt stronger than ever. 5 stars, he muttered, rubbing his face. He let out a cold laugh. He had already found out where I lived. He'd spent all night coordinating with the Luo Tian group to finalize a redevelopment plan for my neighborhood. He was going to make me homeless. That was only the first step. He stood up to leave. As he stepped outside, a breeze hit him. Feels a bit chilly today." The butler watched him walk away and rubbed his eyes. For a second, he thought he saw a bald spot. No, not a spot. The entire back of Li Xiang's head was smooth. He decided his old eyes were just playing tricks on him. Back in the car, Xia Yao's jaw dropped. She stared at Li Xiang as he walked to his car. His head was perfectly bald, glowing in the sunlight like a polished pearl. And right on top of that shiny dome was a massive, purple bruise. He's bald," she shrieked, clutching me and shaking with laughter. "And that lump. Oh my God, Lin Yuan, I'm going to die. What did you put in that milk?" I tried to keep a straight face, even as she squeezed me so hard my face was deforming. Chill. He hasn't noticed yet. Li Xiang really hadn't. He hopped into his Nissan GTR, revved the engine, and sped toward the office. Follow him, Xia Yao yelled, wiping tears from her eyes. As we trailed him, Li Xiang's expression began to change. His stomach let out a violent growl. A massive, unstoppable wave of pressure was hitting his back door. Damn it, he hissed, sweating. Why now? He decided to hold it until he reached the office. He slammed his foot on the gas. Why is he going so fast? Xia Yao asked. I let out a low chuckle. He doesn't have a choice. I gave him a 10-bean dose. Just watch. He's about to roll down his windows. You can predict that too? Inside the GTR, Li Xiang's face was turning green. Uffed. The sound was small, but the impact was deadly. The smell was so foul he nearly threw up his breakfast. He scrambled to roll down the windows, gasping for air, driving even faster. He couldn't believe something that toxic had come out of his own body. Xia Yao looked at me like I was a ghost. He actually rolled them down. Are you a fortune teller? Li Xiang was gripping the steering wheel so hard the veins in his arms were popping. He was drenched in sweat, focusing every ounce of his will on keeping his exit closed. He regretted everything. To make matters worse, he hit morning traffic. He stuck his head out the window and screamed, "Move! I can walk faster than this." He laid on the horn frantically. But after 30 minutes of gridlock, he stopped screaming. He was afraid that if he opened his mouth to yell, he'd lose control of the other end. I pulled off the delivery jacket and whispered the next part of the plan into Xia Yao's ear. Her face turned slightly red from the proximity, but her eyes lit up with pure, chaotic joy. This was going to be legendary. I gave Xia Yao a high five and told her to wait in the car. It was time for the main event. Li Xiang finally reached the Luo Tian building. He scrambled out of his GTR, but he didn't run. He couldn't. He walked with a stiff, tiny shuffle, his legs pressed tight together like he was trying to hold back a flood. Every employee he passed stared in shock. Their faces turned beet red as they bit their lips to keep from laughing. "Good morning, young Master Li," they whispered, looking down. Li Xiang didn't care. He actually felt a twisted sense of pride being the center of attention, even if he was moving like a penguin. He ignored them and made a beeline for the elevators. I ducked into a hidden corner nearby. I reached into my spatial storage and pulled out a folding ladder. I threw it over my shoulder and marched toward the entrance. A security guard stepped out to block me. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Circuit maintenance," I said flatly. He waved me right through. It worked perfectly. I'd seen a video online saying you could get into any building in the world as long as you carried a ladder and looked like you belonged there. Li Xiang was already in the elevator, standing perfectly still. He hit the button for the 33rd floor. Just as the doors started to close, I jammed my hand in. I squeezed inside with my ladder. Li Xiang looked like he was going to explode. His eyes screamed at me to take the next one, but I ignored him. With a calm smile, I reached out and pressed every single button from the second floor to the 33rd. Resentment from Li Xiang plus 1,000. Resentment from Li Xiang plus 1,000. "Sorry about this," I muttered. "Maintenance check. I have to look at the wiring on every floor." Li Xiang tried to step toward me to argue, but he froze after 1 inch. He couldn't risk another step. A young woman in a business suit was also in the car, clutching a folder. She gave us a polite, confused smile. The elevator started to move. When an elevator goes up, inertia makes you feel heavier. For Li Xiang, that downward pressure was a death sentence. He grabbed the handrail so hard his knuckles turned white. His legs were shaking. The doors opened on the second floor. I poked my head out, pretending to check the hallway lights. Inside, I was howling with laughter. This was for Zhong Yingxue. This was for every time he'd looked down on me. The doors closed again. Li Xiang glared at me with pure hatred. Then, he caught his own reflection in the polished stainless steel of the elevator wall. His face was green, he was drenched in sweat, and he had a massive, bruised lump on his bald head from where I'd hit him earlier. He looked like a sweating, angry gargoyle. Resentment from Li Xiang plus 1,000. He finally realized the soy milk was spiked. He gripped the handrail so hard the metal started to bend. I could hear his teeth grinding together. We hit every floor. Stop. Open. Close. Start. Each time the elevator jerked, Li Xiang let out a muffled groan. The resentment points were flooding my system. We finally reached the 32nd floor. The end was in sight. I pulled out my phone and made a quick call. Snap. The lights flickered and died. The entire building lost power. The elevator groaned and ground to a halt, stuck right between the 32nd and 33rd floors. Li Xiang's eyes bulged. He looked like he wanted to scream every curse word in the dictionary. The woman in the suit panicked and hit the emergency button. The operator told her it would take 30 minutes to fix. 30 minutes? Li Xiang roared. I'm at death's door right now. He ripped a piece of the handrail clean off the wall. He turned to us, his face twisted. Both of you, turn around. Now. The woman looked confused, but I knew exactly what was coming. I felt a surge of genuine horror. This man was truly pushed to the edge. Oh no, I whispered. You wouldn't. Li Xiang didn't care anymore. The dam had broken. The woman shrieked and whipped around, her face burning red. I moved fast. I reached into my space, pulled out a professional-grade gas mask, and strapped it to my face. I even handed a spare filter to the lady. Then, I pulled out my phone and hit record. The elevator was suddenly filled with a sound like a war zone. Explosions, thunder, and the sound of a man finally finding peace. Li Xiang's face went from agony to total relief. The woman was screaming. She couldn't believe a billionaire's son was doing this in a public elevator. Through the chaos, Li Xiang finally looked up and saw me filming him. He saw the gas mask. He saw the spatial ripple. There were fewer than 10 space-type users in the world. He knew. Lin Yuan, he screamed, his voice cracking. It was you. I'll kill you. I'll bury you. He tried to lung at me, but he was occupied. He couldn't even stand up. Worry about yourself first. I laughed behind the mask. Meanwhile, the security guards watching the cameras were paralyzed. They hit the building-wide intercom. Attention all staff, please maintain basic human decency in the elevators. Word spread like wildfire. The power was out, so employees started crowding around the 32nd floor doors to see the legend inside. Li Xiang was trapped. He ripped off his own shirt and wrapped it around his head to hide his face. It was the only dignity he had left. You'll pay for this, he hissed from under the shirt. I told you, I said, leaning in close. A dog that bites doesn't bark. Stop harassing Zhong Yingxue. Stop the shady business. If you don't, this video goes on every news platform in the country. Imagine the headlines. Li Xiang trembled, but he was powerless. He had his money, but I had his soul on camera. You have your background, I whispered. I have my story. It's not much, but you'd better not touch it. I used my space ability and blinked out of the elevator, leaving the poor woman in the gas mask alone with the mess. Li Xiang spent the next 3 hours in a bathroom after they got him out. He considered moving countries. He considered ending it all. But in the end, he did the only thing he could. He called his lawyers and canceled the forced acquisition of the slums. I held the leash now, and if he barked again, I'd pull it. Li Xiang hated me with every bone in his body. This was the second time I'd made a complete fool of him. Back at his office, the cleaning lady was having a mental breakdown. She had just finished cleaning the elevator when she opened the door to his private bathroom. She froze. The toilet was in 1,000 pieces, scattered across the floor like a grenade had gone off. She actually thought Li Xiang was so powerful that his output could shatter porcelain. Little did she know, my special beans had a very explosive side effect. Li Xiang was officially the first person in history to experience that particular disaster. I felt pretty satisfied as I walked back to the car. Sometimes, when people are pushed to the brink, they really do go crazy. Xia Yao was waiting for me, practically vibrating with excitement. She asked if the timing for the power cut was okay. I gave her a thumbs up. It was perfect. Li Xiang was going to be very quiet for a long time. What did you even do in there? She asked, leaning in close. I gave her a wicked grin and pulled up the video I'd recorded on my phone. She watched it, and within seconds, she was howling. She called me a monster, but she couldn't stop laughing. She said she almost felt bad for him, but then remembered how he'd treated Zhong Yingxue. He deserved every bit of it. I just shrugged. That's what happens when you mess with the Bean Man. As she drove me home, Xiaoyao got serious. She told me I should consider joining her team. In this world, ability users only survive the spirit voids if they worked in groups. She wanted to kick out Li Xiang and his cronies and bring me in. With my space ability, Our combat power would be off the charts. She said Zhonging Shue would be happy to have me there, too. I scratched my head. I wanted to go, but I was a senior. I couldn't just transfer schools. Xia Yao laughed and said she could handle the paperwork, but then she caught herself. My reputation would suffer if I just coasted in on her influence. If I wanted to get into the elite Jiangxing First High, I had to earn it. They took 3 exchange students every semester, the top 3 scorers from the final exams. I like that idea. The written tests were no problem for a top student like me, even if my English was a bit shaky. The real issue was the practical exam. We had to enter a spirit void and hunt actual soul beasts. I'd never even seen one. The closest spirit void was in the Changbai Mountains, and you had to be at least a Black Iron 5-star just to enter. You have 1 month until the finals, Jiang Nan, Xia Yao whispered, leaning close to my ear. Her scent was intoxicating. If you take first place, I'll give you a very big reward. I shivered. Watch the road, Xia Yao. She laughed, but then her jaw dropped. She finally noticed my aura. Wait, when did you hit Black Iron 10-star? I shrugged nonchalantly. I worked a little bit. I didn't want to, but you wouldn't take no for an answer. She looked at me like I was a freak of nature. Just a few days ago, I was a 7-star. This kind of growth was unheard of. She reached into her shirt and pulled out 2 glowing red soul pearls. They were still warm from her body heat. She handed them to me, telling me they were worth over 200,000 yuan each. They were high-quality fire attribute pearls meant to help me break through to the bronze rank. I stared at the pearls, then at her. I've only seen people pull things out of there in anime. Truly impressive. Her face turned bright red. She told me to shut up and take them. These things were strictly regulated by the association, and you couldn't just buy them on the street. I took a long sniff of the pearls and smiled. They smell nice. That earned me a literal kick out of the car. Xia Yao snarled at me to get the top rank or else, then sped off in her blue sports car. I stood at the entrance of my alley, looking at the glowing red pearls. They were beautiful. Usually, special ability users like me didn't get much benefit from elemental pearls, but these were high grade. I skipped the night market and went straight home to absorb them. By 7 in the evening, I'd finished both, but I was still stuck at 10-star. The bottleneck to bronze was tougher than I thought. I needed a different approach. I opened my system inventory and pulled out a bundle of spiritual leaks. I spent some time prepping them, then headed over to the neighbor's yard. Wang Kai, come here, boy. A Shiba Inu hopped out of its doghouse, panting and wagging its tail. I looked at the poor dog with pity. I'd lived here for 3 years, and this dog was still a lonely bachelor. It was time to help him out. I pulled a sausage out of my pocket, stuffed with a spiritual leak, and tossed it to him. Don't thank me, buddy, I whispered. My neighbor, Old Man Wang, called out from his porch, asking if I'd eaten yet. I felt a sudden surge of guilt and sprinted back to my own yard. I peeked over the wall, watching Wang Kai finish the treat. A few seconds later, the dog's tail started spinning like a helicopter blade. He looked like he was ready to take on the world. Wang Kai didn't just eat the sausage, he exploded out of his doghouse. He kicked up a cloud of dust in the alley and sprinted straight for Zhou Yuqing's yard. His intense, glowing eyes were locked onto Guogua, a snow-white Pekingese resting under a tree. Their gazes met in midair. A chorus of barks and howls erupted. Zhou Yuqing, who was picking vegetables in the yard, stood frozen for 10 seconds. Her face turned beet red as she watched the 2 dogs. She scrambled toward the house, shouting for her mom, her voice trembling with embarrassment. I watched from the shadows, feeling like a proud parent. Wang Kai, you've got this. Those spiritual leaks were the real deal. I headed back to my room and scrolled through my phone. My follower count had jumped to over 30,000. 3 people had even set me as a special follow. One was Ting Shui, obviously Zhonging Shue. Another was Lonely Wolf of the Moonlit Night, which was definitely Xia Yao. I sighed. She really needed to drop the edgy username. The third was Su Yuan, the streamer. He'd sent me a private message asking why I wasn't at the market. I replied casually, telling him I'd be there tomorrow and promised to teach him how to kick a durian. That earned me 888 resentment points immediately. Playing with people was just too easy. I changed my handle to I Have It So Hard and posted my first update, a picture of my new iPhone 11 Pro Max with the caption, "Click this if you have the guts." Guess you do. PS new goal, rank number 1 this school year. The comments flooded in. People called me heartless for skipping the market. Some realized I was a student. One guy complained he drove 250 kilometers just for a bottle of stamina water and found an empty spot. I smiled. For the first time, I actually felt motivated for myself, for Zhong Yingxue, and for Xiaoyao. I tried to sleep, but the neighborhood went wild. Every dog in the area started howling like ghosts. The culprits were Wang Kai and Guogua. But that was just the beginning of Wang Kai's legendary night. After finishing with Guogua, he didn't stop. He hit old lady Lu's house next, taking on a massive German shepherd named Lifu. By dawn, Wang Kai had conquered every female dog in the village. The next morning, a crowd gathered at Old Man Wang's door. Neighbors were complaining that their pets were exhausted, and the noise had kept everyone up. One woman even shoved her husband, telling him to look at Wang Kai's stamina and then look at himself. Old Man Wang was baffled. Then we saw him. Wang Kai was strolling down the alley with that signature Shiba Inu smirk, followed by a parade of over a dozen female dogs ranging from Tibetan Mastiffs to Chihuahuas. The male dogs along the street were barking in pure envy. It was the peak of his life. I gave him a silent thumbs up. The spiritual leeks were terrifyingly effective. I briefly considered making a leek and egg stir-fry for myself, but then I remembered the side effects of the yellow beans and the water. I shivered. I needed to observe a bit longer. That night, I set up my stall at the Jiangqing night market. Along with the farmer's 3 springs, I added a bag of detox yellow beans. I kept the leeks hidden for now. The moment I opened, the water sold out instantly. Between Su Yuan's stream and my Weibo post, business was exploding. But trouble never stays away for long. Strong and Scarface showed up again. They weren't alone. They were following a guy who looked like a tank. He was nearly 2 meters tall, with skin like bronze and muscles that looked carved out of stone. He wore a tight black shirt and a buzz cut, radiating pure pressure. "Is he really here?" the big guy asked. "I promise, Master Wu," Strong hissed, grinning like a shark. "We're counting on you." Wu Liang cracked his knuckles. "I'll teach him that he can't mess with our group." But when they reached the stall, Wu Liang froze. "Wait, Godlet." He was from Jiangqing too. Everyone knew me. He remembered how I'd broken the testing machine, which had prevented him from getting his own results. He smirked, thinking this was the perfect chance to show everyone who the real boss of the school was. He stepped forward, casting a massive shadow over my stall. "I'm Wu Liang from Class 2, he growled. "I came here today to—" "Holy crap, brother. I finally found you." A voice interrupted him. It was Zheng Wei. I ignored the 3 thugs and waved. "Hold on, you 3. Just wait a sec." The resentment points spiked. 888 from Wu Liang. 666 from Scarface. They were fuming. They were here to break my legs, and I was telling them to wait in line. Zheng Wei walked up with 2 girls. When Wu Liang saw the girls looking at him, his tough guy act faltered. He turned his head, acting cool, while the girls whispered about how big and strong he was. He decided to wait a moment before smashing my stall, just to keep his image intact. Zheng Wei hugged me like we were long-lost brothers. "You have no idea. After I drank your water, my run in the spirit realm was insane. My gains were huge. I came looking for you yesterday, but you weren't here." One of the girls smiled sweetly at me. "I've been thinking about you all day. I couldn't even eat." Wu Liang's face went dark. "Lin Yuan, I'm talking to." I said wait. I snapped, waving him off again. Wu Liang was vibrating with rage. 999 resentment points. He was a professional thug, and I wasn't giving him any respect. It was getting awkward for him. Zheng Wei didn't notice the tension. He leaned in, his eyes bright. "Do you have any more water? I want to buy in bulk." I grinned. "Here comes the money." "What's the matter? Aren't you afraid of going bald anymore?" Zheng Wei laughed. "Who cares about hair? Strength is the only thing that matters." A strength-type awakener like me combined with the farmer's 3 springs stamina potion? It was a match made in heaven. I could see it in Zheng Wei's eyes. He had tasted the sweetness of power, and he was hooked. Honestly, this wasn't how I expected the script to go. If he was this eager, I wouldn't be able to farm any more resentment points from him. Part of me didn't even want to sell to him anymore, but business was business. "How many do you want?" I asked. Zheng Wei didn't even blink. 100 bottles. My eyes nearly popped out of my head. Resentment points? Forget the points. I wanted the money. I needed the money. I flashed a grin and reached into my personal storage space, pulling out 3 large jugs of the diluted potion. Zheng Wei froze. He wasn't shocked by the water. He was staring at my hand. I had just revealed my space-type ability. The 2 girls behind him gasped, covering their mouths in disbelief. In this world, a space-type user was like finding a massive gold brick just lying on the sidewalk. There were only a handful of them on the entire planet, and here I was, running a street stall. They probably thought they'd run into a hidden god. Tell you what, I said, snapping them back to reality. I'll give you these 3 jugs for 1,000,000 yuan. Consider the extra a gift. Deal. Zheng Wei shook off his shock, nodding frantically. Yes, deal. I'll transfer the money right now. I was vibrating with excitement. 1,000,000 yuan. I had never seen that much money in my life. Even though the system would take its cut and leave me with only 10,000, I could at least say I was a millionaire for a few seconds. Meanwhile, Wu Liang looked like his eyeballs were about to explode. He stood there, completely lost. A high school kid selling 3 jugs of water for 1,000,000 yuan? What was in that stuff? Liquid gold? His brain couldn't process it. His entire worldview was crumbling. Hey, kid, Wu Liang stammered, his voice shaking. You still selling? My uncle owns a mineral water company. How about 10,000 a jug? I glared at him. Do you have to be so predictable? You're like a human repeat button. That was the breaking point. Wu Liang's temper flared. A repeat button? You ever seen a repeat button this jacked? A loud rip echoed through the alley. Wu Liang's black shirt shredded instantly as his muscles bulged. A wild, primal energy surged from him. Thick, black fur sprouted across his skin, and his body doubled in size. In seconds, he transformed into a terrifying half-man, half-bear hybrid. A werbear, someone in the crowd screamed. It was a shocking transformation, like a werewolf movie coming to life. I watched with genuine curiosity. My friend Xia Ya was also a beast type, but she turned into a wolf. I couldn't help but wonder what she looked like when she transformed. I was actually kind of looking forward to seeing it. Let's take this over there, I said, gesturing toward a dark, narrow alley. Wu Liang bared his razor-sharp fangs and cracked his massive bare paws. Smart kid. At least you know where to die. Zheng Wei and the girls looked worried. Hey, man, do you need help? I waved them off without looking back. Just watch the stall for me. The girl with the hair buns sighed, looking smitten. Oh no, I think I'm in love. What do I do if he wants me to cut my hair short? Should I do it? Zheng Wei was more practical. He knew space types were usually glass cannons, fragile in the early stages. That black bear looked incredibly strong. He thought I was suicidal for giving up the open space of the market, but I had a plan. I wanted to test my limits before the final exams. A bronze 3-star fighter like Wu Liang was the perfect punching bag. Inside the alley, Wu Liang let out a low, guttural sneer. I've been wanting to test you. Don't worry, I won't make it too painful. His reward was a red brick flying straight at his face. Thwack! The brick shattered against his snout. Wu Liang roared in fury and lunged. He covered the distance in 2 steps, his massive fist whistling through the air as it swung down. Boom! The impact shattered the brick wall behind me, sending cracks spreading like a spider web. The streetlights overhead flickered from the force. Wu Liang blinked. I wasn't there. I had teleported instantly, appearing silently behind him. I raised another brick and slammed it into the back of his head. My sneak attack skill wasn't just for show. The brick crumbled. Wu Liang's head snapped forward, but he spun around, swinging a blind backhand. The wind from the punch stung my face. Instead of dodging, I caught his arm with both hands, used his own momentum against him, and executed a perfect over-the-shoulder throw. The massive, fur-covered body went flying. He smashed into a streetlight and hit the wall hard. Before he could even clear his head, a barrage of bricks started flying at him like cannonballs. His 2 thugs, Baldy and Scarface, stood at the entrance of the alley, completely stunned. People usually threw knives or needles. This guy was literally spamming construction materials. Wu Liang let out a primal howl and charged again. His fists were like mortars, but he couldn't even touch the hem of my shirt. My teleportation was a nightmare for him. He realized then that I wasn't just some lucky kid. My strength, My combat instincts, my movements, they were all top tier. How could a guy who ranked at the bottom of his class for 3 years be this good? Fine, Wu Liang roared. Time to get serious. He let out another guttural scream and transformed further. His clothes finished shredding as he grew into a 4-meter-tall, giant black bear. The pressure coming off him was suffocating. But as the massive paw swung toward me, I froze. Not out of fear, but out of sheer second-hand embarrassment. Dude, seriously? I blurted out. Your transformation destroys your clothes? Have some shame. Put on some shorts or something. This is disgusting. The image was burned into my brain. It was pure mental pollution. Wu Liang didn't care. He probably didn't have a choice. There weren't many pairs of shorts that could survive a jump from 6 feet to 13 feet. His paw slammed into the wall, leaving a massive hole. I teleported next to the fallen streetlight, grabbed the long metal pole, and held it like a staff. System, Spear Mastery LV0 triggered, adding 100 skill points. Skill upgraded to Spear Mastery LV1. Suddenly, decades of combat knowledge flooded my mind. I spun the pole, the metal whistling as it cut the air. I braced myself. Come on, Baloo. Let's see who's the real beast here. The streetlight pole blurred as I swung it with everything I had. Crack. It hit Wu Liang like a runaway truck. His 800-pound body was actually lifted off the ground and sent sliding across the pavement. He gasped for air, his face twisted in pain. As he tried to scramble back up, I didn't give him a second to breathe. The pole became a living thing in my hands. I stabbed, lashed, and parried, hitting him from angles he couldn't defend. Wu Liang howled in frustration, completely overwhelmed. Baldy and Scarface watched, mesmerized. My movements were a beautiful display of savage grace. I looked like a grandmaster of the spear. They almost started cheering for me. Whap! The pole caught Wu Liang square across his bare face. He stumbled and collapsed. I looked at the streetlight pole in my hands. It was bent into a literal U-shape. This guy's defense was insane. Even after all that, he was still trying to crawl away. I wasn't having it. I teleported, landing right on his back, and started raining down bricks. Why didn't I use my fists? Because hitting a bear hurts your hands. After smashing about 20 more bricks over his head, the giant bear finally went limp. Wu Liang was out cold. I let out a heavy breath, wiping the sweat from my forehead. Damn bear, I muttered under my breath. Then, I wiped the exhaustion away and flashed a brilliant, predatory smile at Baldy and Scarface. The two of them shuddered violently, their faces pale with terror. Don't. Brother Nan, please. Scarface squealed. I'll do it myself. Without waiting for me to move, Scarface lunged forward and slammed his forehead into a nearby streetlight. Clang. The metal pole vibrated 3 times from the impact. Scarface crumpled to the ground, out cold instantly. Baldy's eyes twitched. He looked at his fallen comrade with a mix of fear and respect. Brother Scar is a true professional, he must have thought. Not wanting to be outdone, Baldy turned red in the face and sprinted toward a concrete wall, smashing his head against it. Ow! Damn it! Baldy yelled, clutching his face. Blood streamed down his nose, but he was still wide awake. He saw me walking toward him, one slow step at a time. Panic seized him. He looked up and slammed his head into the wall again. Thud! More blood, but he was still conscious. He tried a third time. Thud! I stopped in front of him, watching this pathetic display. On the ground, Scarface peeked one eye open, watching his partner's desperate attempt to knock himself out. He looked completely speechless. He probably realized right then that he needed a smarter partner. Baldy looked up at me, tears welling in his eyes. Brother Nan, could you maybe give me a hand? My face went dark. I didn't say a word, just swung my palm in a massive arc slap. Baldy spun through the air and hit the pavement. Yeah, he was definitely out this time. I turned my attention back to Wu Liang. He was still unconscious in his bare form, but as I looked at his midsection, I noticed his transformation was wearing off. He was shrinking back into a human. Man, this guy is tough, I thought. But I'm a kind soul. I reached into my space storage and tossed a pair of boxers over his unconscious body. I couldn't have him waking up completely naked in the street. When I walked back to my stall, Zhengwei was looking at me like I was a god. He had seen the whole fight. My spear technique had clearly traumatized, and impressed him. Brother Nan, he stammered. That was legendary. The two girls standing with him had stars in their eyes. The way I had handled that pole, combined with my teleportation, was apparently the peak of cool in their books. Little brother, do you take disciples? One of them asked, her voice sweet and playful. I can be a cute student or a mature one. Whatever you want. I want to learn how to throw bricks, the other one added. That was so cool. I stared at them, speechless. You guys are college students. I'm just a high school senior. Are you sure you want to call me master? Zheng Wei's eyes nearly popped out of his head. You're in high school? No way. You're definitely a hidden master from some ancient martial arts family. Stop playing humble. The girls nodded vigorously. Look at his aura. Even that buzz cut looks handsome. Please, just take us in. I really want to learn the flying brick technique. I sighed. Sometimes, people's imaginations are more dangerous than their abilities. I looked them in the eye with a dead serious expression. Fine. I'll come clean. I'm actually a traveler from the Alpha Centauri galaxy. 20 years ago, I initiated the spiritual recovery of Earth. I carry the burden of saving this planet on my shoulders. System, resentment points from Zheng Wei plus 999. From Yuan plus 666. From Su Jingru plus 765. Hey, don't leave, I shouted as they turned and walked away. First disciple. Second disciple. Come back. After packing up and heading home, I decided to do a 10 pull on the system's gacha. Most of my points had come from trolling Li Xiang and Wu Liang. When 10 bundles of spiritual leaks appeared in my inventory, I sighed. Business was slow. I'd only been away from school for 2 days, and I already missed my lovely classmates. I opened my phone and scrolled through my social feed. Li Xiang had posted, "Even people better than me are still working hard. What excuse do I have to stop?" He included a picture of a clenched fist. It had over 50 likes and dozens of inspirational comments. I grinned and typed a reply. Bro, if people better than you are already working harder than you, then what's the point of you even trying? System, resentment from Li Xiang plus 999. Next was Li Mayan. Spent the whole weekend practicing at home. Tired as a dog. But I finally broke through to Iron Rank 10. Hard work pays off. Asterisk. I commented, dogs aren't actually as tired as you think. Someone replied to me, El Mayo, Brother Nan is right. My dog literally just eats and sleeps. System, resentment from Li Mayan plus 666. Then there was Lu Wuchuan. Why do I always gag when I brush my teeth in the morning? Is it because I smoke too much? I jumped in. It has nothing to do with smoking. Tomorrow, try not brushing your teeth in front of a mirror. I guarantee you won't gag anymore. Basically, I told him he was so ugly he was making himself sick. System, resentment from Lu Wuchuan plus 999. I was raking in points. I was about to keep going when I realized everyone had stopped posting. They were probably terrified of getting roasted. Fine, I muttered. If you won't post, I will. I posted a status. Sigh. I guess this is it. It's midnight, and not a single person has said happy birthday to me. My classmates paused. Was it really his birthday? Even the guys I'd messed with felt a little bad. Maybe he was just a lonely guy looking for attention? The comments started rolling in. Happy birthday, Brother Nan. Happy birthday. Even though you stole my pants, thanks for saving my life. Then, Zhong Yingxua commented, Xiao Nan, you still have me. But, today isn't your birthday. Everyone froze. I hit the see more button on my post, revealing the rest of the text. Probably because today isn't my birthday. System, resentment from Wang Bei plus 666. Plus 666. Plus 666. I let out a dark, villainous cackle behind my screen. It felt good to be a menace. Even though Yingxua had exposed me, her comment warmed my heart. She was the only one who actually remembered when my birthday was. She was too cute. As the resentment points slowly ticked up, I drifted off to sleep. The rest of the neighborhood wasn't so lucky. My dog, Wang Kai, was still having the time of his life in the yard, howling at the moon and keeping half the village awake. The next morning, the sun hit Wu Liang's face. He woke up with a start, back in his human form. His face was a map of bruises and swelling. He was completely broke, no phone, no money, nothing but the boxers I'd left him. He opened his eyes only to be blinded by camera flashes. A crowd of elderly ladies was gathered at the mouth of the alley. "Oh my, young people these days are so bold," one grandma chirped, peering through her glasses. "He's got a decent build, though." "Maybe he got robbed," another suggested, though her eyes were wandering shamelessly. Younger girls walked by, covering their eyes with their hands but peeking through their fingers. Wu Liang's head throbbed. The memories of the night before came rushing back. He looked around frantically for Baldy and Scarface, but they were long gone. He was all alone, half-naked, and the star of the morning news. This was a disaster. I didn't even have a shirt to my name. I couldn't stand the way the old men, the grandmas, and the young girls were staring at me. I just wanted to find a hole and crawl inside. Then, I noticed something. A pair of underwear was draped over my chest. Had my God left this for me? He returned my hate with kindness. What a saint. I felt a surge of genuine emotion. Baldy and Scarface had abandoned me, leaving me with nothing, but my God had left me a pair of underwear. Sure, they were yellow Pikachu briefs, but they were still clothes. I pulled them on with deep gratitude. Actually, they felt pretty good. It was a sensation my usual boxers never gave me. That was the day I officially switched from the boxer camp to the brief camp. The crowd's gaze shifted from curiosity to pure horror. They scrambled to clear a path for me. Camera flashes went off like a strobe light. This narrow alley had become my red carpet. I didn't care. I puffed out my chest and walked out of that alley like I owned the world. As I walked, I thought back to the fight. I couldn't believe Jiang Nan, the guy everyone called a loser, was that strong. His spear techniques, his hand-to-hand combat, and those flying bricks, it made my blood boil just thinking about it. Being low-key really was the ultimate flex. All I wanted to do now was find him. The next morning, I walked into the classroom. The room went dead silent for a moment. My toxic soup from the night before had clearly left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. The second I stepped inside, the resentment points started refreshing like crazy. Li Xiang still looked like he wanted to kill me over that firecracker incident. Li Mayan just looked depressed. During morning study, Lu Chuanwu was hunched over his phone. He suddenly burst out laughing. A second later, my phone vibrated. He had shared a Weibo link to the class group chat. "Is this Wu Liang from class 2? Lu Chuanwu typed. "I'm dying. He's literally making his debut. And are those Pikachu underwear? So cute. His physique is insane, though," someone else replied. "Look at those muscles. I think I'm in love." "You love him, but he definitely doesn't love you." I clicked the link out of curiosity. My eyes nearly burned. The headline was, "Shocking, muscular pervert appears at morning market. Is it a lack of morality or a distortion of human nature?" It was a full gallery of Wu Liang. He was wearing nothing but those Pikachu briefs, strutting down the street with a look of deep, philosophical contemplation. The comment section was a war zone. People were praising his courage and the Pikachu. One guy complained that he'd spat out his breakfast when he saw him. Someone else even joked that the night market was now selling those exact briefs for 10 yuan. I exited Weibo, my hands shaking. I covered my face. I just grabbed a random pair of underwear to toss at him last night. I never expected it to go viral. And the idiot actually wore them. Well, at least it was free advertising for the night market. The teacher tapped the blackboard to get our attention. Final exams were coming up. As students of Class 5, our practical test would take place at the Changbai Mountain Spirit Realm. We were told to form teams. Any spirit beads we found would be ours to keep. If we found one with a spirit trace, even better. The top 10 students in the grade would be rewarded with high-quality stars containing spirit traces. To prepare for the college entrance exams, our stay in the realm was being extended from 7 days to half a month. The classroom erupted in chatter. The Changbai Mountain Realm was a place people both loved and hated. I listened quietly, my mind fixed on the spirit traces. Low-level beasts rarely carried them. Even if they did, finding one that matched your specific attribute was like winning the lottery. As a space type, I could only absorb space attribute traces. China was vast, but space-type beasts were rare and strictly controlled by the association. I only had my teleportation skill because it was innate. Most students at Jiangqing High weren't serious cultivators anyway, so very few had absorbed a spirit trace yet. I wondered if I could snag that top prize and get a space attribute bead for myself. The room was a mess of people scouting teammates. I just sat on the windowsill, watching. Why isn't our god looking for a team? Li Xiang sneered. He's a dual-type genius. Does he even need teammates? Exactly, Lu Chuanwu mocked. He's the guy who broke the testing machine. He probably thinks the beasts in the realm will just stand there and let him hit them. Too bad he's never been to a realm before. He'll probably just use his teleportation to run away. He's never even killed a chicken, let alone a monster. They laughed. To them, I was still a loser. A dual-type joke. Who would be stupid enough to team up with a liability like me? I stretched my limbs, wondering if I should farm some more resentment points. The team lists were due that afternoon. I hadn't planned on looking for anyone. With my teleportation, strength, and system points, I planned to take the number 1 spot alone. The students were still waiting for me to fail when the classroom door was kicked open. Wu Liang stormed in. His face was a map of bruises and swelling. Everyone froze. "Where's Jiangnan?" he barked. He scanned the room and spotted me on the windowsill. He broke into a wide, terrifying grin. The class shivered. They thought I was about to get murdered. Wu Liang's father was a major player in the used car business, the kind of guy people on the streets called Boss Wu. Li Xiang and Lu Chuanwu leaned back, wearing smug expressions. They weren't going to help. They were going to enjoy the show. Wu Liang marched up to me. He looked dead serious. "God," he said, his voice booming. "Be my big brother. I want to learn from you." The room went silent. Li Xiang's jaw hit the floor. Big brother? He didn't come to fight? He came to beg for an apprenticeship? Had his brain been rattled too hard? I curled my lip. "You're not exactly good material," I said. Li Mayan stared at me like she didn't recognize me. How could I talk to someone as dangerous as Wu Liang like that? Was I trying to get killed? Wu Liang just shook his head, refusing to back down. "I've looked into everything," Wu Liang said, his voice deep and urgent. "The fight at the barbecue stall was the bald guy's fault. I already sent people to handle them. It won't happen again." He paused, looking genuinely ashamed. "Last night, I was a jerk. You were right to hit me, big brother." The classroom went dead silent. Lu Chuanwu froze. Every student looked like they'd seen a ghost. They couldn't wrap their heads around it. They knew we'd fought last night, and they saw how badly Wu Liang had been beaten this morning. But they thought I was just a weakling who got lucky with a teleportation trick. Wu Liang was famous for being a powerhouse, yet here he was, bruised and battered, bowing to me while I didn't have a scratch. I gave him a bright, sharp smile. "You're pretty good at taking a hit," I said. "Think you can handle being my meat shield in the Tianqi spirit realm?" Wu Liang's eyes lit up. He slammed a fist against his chest. "Leave it to me. As long as I'm standing, I won't let a single scratch touch you." I stayed quiet for a second, then reached out and patted his shoulder. "Fine. Follow me then. My team actually needs a tank." Wu Liang looked confused. He thought I was alone. He didn't realize that when I said my team, I wasn't talking about anyone from Jiangsheng High. I was talking about the elite Songjiang Martial Academy. Li Xiang couldn't take it anymore. He stood up, his face twisted in a sneer. "Wu Liang, think about this. The spirit realm is dangerous. If you take a liability like Jiangnan, you'll never get a good score. It'll be impossible." He hated seeing me join a strong team. In his mind, a trash student like me belonged at the bottom of the barrel. Wu Liang spun around. With a sudden, violent flex, his school uniform literally exploded, shredded by his iron-like muscles. His eyes turned bloodshot, and he grabbed Li Xiang by the collar, lifting him off the ground. "Watch your mouth, kid. Who do you think you're talking to? That's my big brother." Li Xiang turned pale, gasping for air as he stared into Wu Liang's terrifying eyes. Cold sweat poured down his face. I was just suggesting." "I don't need your suggestions," Wu Liang roared. Just as he was about to swing, I kicked him right in the backside. "Enough. You really love destroying your clothes, don't you? Uniforms aren't free." Wu Liang immediately calmed down. He tossed Li Xiang aside like a bag of trash, sending him crashing into the teacher's podium. Chalk flew everywhere. Li Xiang sat on the floor, his eyes full of venomous hatred, but he didn't dare say another word. The rest of the class just stared. I had kicked the school bully, and instead of getting angry, he acted like a loyal puppy. Suddenly, a long-haired girl in a short skirt peeked through the classroom door. She spotted Wu Liang and smiled. "Brother Liang, do you want to team up? My teammates from last year dumped me." Wu Liang looked at me, seeking permission. This is Tang Qinya. Black Iron rank 9, wood element. What do you think? I blinked. I recognized her. She was the girl from the hallway the other day. Before I could speak, she saw me and her face turned bright red. There is no wind in the hallway today, she snapped. Resentment from Tang Qinya plus 663. I chuckled. She was actually kind of cute. Sure, no problem. Wu Liang nodded, picked up his shredded uniform, and swaggered out of the room. But as he bent over, I froze. Tucked into the waistband of his pants was a thin, yellow hair tie. I shuddered. Did I just recruit someone with strange hobbies? I was starting to regret my decision. Li Xiang walked past me, his voice cold. Once we enter the Tianqi spirit realm, you'll see how weak you really are. I shrugged. I don't know where you get your confidence, but I'm looking forward to it. I didn't want to be cruel to a classmate, but Li Xiang kept asking for trouble. It was time I taught him a real lesson. At lunch, the moment I stepped into the cafeteria, a massive guy stood up and shouted, "Brother Nan, over here." The entire room went quiet. Did I hear that right? Someone whispered. The boss, Wu Liang, is calling Jiang Nan brother? You didn't hear? He went to class 1 this morning to beg him to be his leader. Wait, did you see the post on Weibo? Wu Liang was wearing a Pikachu hair tie this morning, and now he's this close to Jiang Nan. I mean, Jiang Nan is trash, but he is handsome. Maybe they're... I felt my face darkening as I walked past the gossiping groups. One girl whispered that I had sold my soul to Wu Liang just to pass the final exam. If souls were worth money, I would have sold mine a long time ago, but not like this. I sat down across from Wu Liang. He had already bought my lunch. What's wrong, Brother Nan? Someone bothering you? Just say the word, and I'll teach them how to be a human being. I sighed, looking at him. Wu Liang, how are your grades? He puffed out his chest proudly. Every exam, my results tell everyone exactly how many students are in our grade. I almost face-planted into my rice. He was dead last. Every single time. For this final exam, I said firmly, I want you in the top 3. Wu Liang blinked. Bottom 3? Easy. No problem. No. Top 3. From the front. Wu Liang's eyes bugged out. Brother Nan, are you crazy? Even if I stuffed the textbooks into my skull, I couldn't hit top 3. I rolled my eyes. Is your brain made of muscle too? Top 3. Or you're out of the team. He looked like a kicked puppy. Why? Have you thought about your future? I asked him seriously. Are you just going to inherit your dad's used car business and be a local thug forever? The world is huge. I want to see it from the top. The question is, can you keep up with me? Wu Liang went silent. He realized I wasn't joking. I was actually looking out for him. Get in the top 3, I whispered, and I'll take you to Songjiang Martial Academy. His face turned beet red with excitement. He slammed his hand on the table so hard the plates jumped. Say no more. I'm in. The bang echoed through the cafeteria. I looked down at my spilled soup. Man, I haven't even taken a bite yet. Do you have to be so dramatic? Tang Qinya, who was sitting nearby, spoke up softly. I can help. I can tutor him. Wu Liang looked at her with pure gratitude. I'm counting on you. And if that doesn't work, I'll just find everyone with better grades than me and beat them up until they drop out. I stared at him. Brother, if you try to beat up the entire grade, you're going to be very busy. After lunch, Wu Liang went into beast mode. He stared at his textbooks like he was trying to murder the words with his eyes. I felt a sense of relief. I chose him for a reason. He was tanky, honest, and had a will of iron. No matter how many times he got knocked down, he always tried to stand back up. That kind of loyalty was exactly what I needed. I headed back to class after lunch. During the break, the school speakers crackled to life. It was time for the official team announcements. A girl with a gentle voice started reading the list, but things got weird fast. She announced the Stars and Sea team, which sounded normal enough. Then came the Unbeatable team. But then she hit the names the students had submitted themselves. Her voice started to falter. She stumbled over No Film No Life team and Rich Democratic Friendly and Harmonious team. By the time she got to the Jiangxing Yanko dance team, she was practically stuttering. One team name was just a string of phonetic pinyin. I could almost hear her brain melting through the speakers. The teachers and the principal were staring at the list with massive headaches. Finally, she found a normal one. The Always First team, she read, sounding relieved. Members, Li Xiang, Li Mayan, Lu Chuanwu, and Ling Feng. The classroom erupted in whispers. This was a seed team, a group of heavy hitters. They had 2 mages, a melee fighter, and a tank. Li Xiang was already a 3-star bronze rank, and Li Mayan was expected to hit bronze before the final exams. Ling Feng was famous for his speed, and Lu Chuanwu could transform into a rhinoceros, making him a literal human tank. They looked invincible. Li Xiang sat in the front row, turning back to give me a provocative smirk. Li Mayan just gave me a cold, mocking sneer. They clearly wanted payback for what happened at the testing station. The announcer read a few more names, then paused. Her voice dropped, laced with pure annoyance. Everything Lin Yuan says is right team. Members, Lin Yuan, Wu Liang, and Tang Qinya. A notification popped up in my head. Resentment from Zhang Hong plus 999. The class went wild. What did Lin Yuan even say? Someone shouted. Who cares? Whatever it is, it's right. The name was so cocky, it bordered on legendary. Wu Liang gave me a massive thumbs up from his desk. Brother Yuan, you're a genius. So much culture. Tang Qinya, on the other hand, was burying her face in her hands, dying of embarrassment. Lu Chuanwu let out a bark of laughter from the front. One idiot leading 2 dead weights? Hilarious. I was wondering why there were only 3 of them. If they had a 4th, it would probably just be another. I didn't let him finish, and I stood up, kicking my chair back. I reached into my spatial storage and pulled out a solid red brick. I had a bright, sunny smile on my face, but my eyes were cold. Say one more word, I said softly, and I'll open your head right now. The whole room went silent. The usually quiet, pushover Lin Yuan was actually fighting back. Lu Chuanwu's face turned a sickly shade of purple. Just then, the teacher walked in and stared at me. Lin Yuan, what are you doing with that brick? I looked down at the brick, then at my desk. Oh, this? I didn't have a ruler to draw straight lines, so I figured a brick would work. Resentment from teacher plus 666. I actually started using the edge of the brick to draw lines on my paper. Li Xiang and Li Mayan looked like they had swallowed flies. They were probably thinking they'd let me have my moment of fame now, but they'd finish me off once we got to the Tianqi spirit realm. After school, I walked past old Joe's barbecue stall. Business was booming. A bunch of young punks were standing guard around the tables, and I even saw Scarface busily carrying trays of food. The moment they saw me, they all stopped and bowed in unison. Good evening, Brother Yuan. Every customer in the area stopped eating to stare at me. Old Joe ran over, looking exhausted but happy. Xiao Yuan, you're here? Yuqing, come greet him. He leaned in and whispered, these guys showed up this afternoon. They insisted on helping. They said if I didn't let them, they'd kneel until I said yes. I couldn't say no. I glanced at Scarface, who gave me a shy, nervous grin. I figured this was Wu Liang's doing. It's fine, old Joe. Use them like your own employees. If any of them act up, just call me. This area can be rough, so having them around will keep the peace. Old Joe looked sheepish, but Zhou Yuqing walked up, her face blushing. We don't really need this many people, but thank you, Brother Lin Yuan. I patted her head. No one's bothering you lately, right? She gave me a sweet smile. No, everyone's been very kind. I chuckled. They better be kind, or they'd answer to me. As I passed by old man Wang's house, I peeked into the yard. His dog, Wang Kai, was lying in front of his kennel, looking like he'd lost 10 pounds in a week. He looked utterly drained. There was a literal line of female dogs waiting outside his doghouse. Old Joe's dog, Gua Gua, trotted out of the kennel wagging her tail, looking very satisfied. Wang Kai tried to crawl out, his legs shaking like jelly, but a large German shepherd immediately grabbed him by the tail and dragged him back inside. Wang Kai's face was the picture of despair. There were still 7 or 8 dogs in line. I shivered. Good luck, Wang Kai. I've done all I can for you. It was clear my spirit leaks had some intense side effects. They provided energy, but maybe too much. I made a mental note to start selling them soon. Back at home, I decided to do a 10 pull on the system. I had saved up over 310,000 resentment points over the last 3 days. The first few pulls were just 20 bundles of spirit leaks, which made me want to curse the system's ancestors. Then I got a thank you for playing consolation prize, a pair of Hulk brand boxer shorts. But then, the big one hit. Asterisk congratulations. You have received a Peerless Beauty Pill. Asterisk. Actually, I got 2 of them. I was confused. I was hoping for spirit pearls or level up potions to boost my combat strength. What was I supposed to do with a beauty pill? Was this a plastic surgery pill? Then I realized, in this world, being ridiculously good-looking is a power of its own. I sat in front of the mirror. I thought I was already pretty handsome, but I decided to test one. It tasted like a white rabbit milk candy. A few minutes later, my face started to itch intensely. I panicked, wondering if my face was about to explode or melt off. Half an hour later, I looked in the mirror and gasped. My eyes were like stars, my nose was perfectly straight, and my skin was smoother than a porcelain doll's. I still looked like me, but every tiny flaw had been corrected. I had this wild, untamed aura now. With my buzz cut and a slight smirk, I looked like a weapon of mass destruction for girls' hearts. I wasn't just handsome. I was rich lady's favorite puppy handsome. I could probably retire right now and just find a billionaire to take care of me. I gripped my fist, feeling determined. It was time to buy a book on how to charm wealthy women. Finally, I checked the consolation prize, the Hulk boxer shorts. The description said they were bug-level shorts that change size with the wearer. I swallowed hard. In the movies, the Hulk always ripped his shirt, but his pants stayed on no matter what. These were indestructible, size-shifting underwear. No matter how intense the fight got, I wouldn't end up streaking. That was actually pretty useful. The Hulk boxer shorts worked exactly like the movies. They were a godsend for anyone with beast transformation abilities who usually ended up shredding their clothes. I wasn't planning on wearing them myself, though. I'd let Wu Liang test them out first. The mental image of him in those things was already burned into my brain, and I couldn't shake it. I checked the system shop again. A new item had appeared, spiritual leaks. They cost 300 resentment points a bundle. I was just about to look closer when my phone buzzed. It was a video call from Xia Yao. I hit answer. The screen showed Xia Yao leaning against Zhong Yingxue, both of them grinning. It looked noisy behind them, like they were out on a busy street. Xia Yao shouted over the crowd, telling me to come out for dinner. Apparently, Yingxue was in a great mood and was treating. Yingxue smiled warmly at the camera and asked what I wanted to eat. Seeing these 2 beauties brightened my mood instantly. I asked where they were, but Xia Yao just pouted at the screen. She told me to turn off the beauty filter, complaining that it was so bright it was blinding her. I told her I wasn't using a filter. She didn't believe me for a second. She turned to Yingxue, asking if phone filters had really gotten this terrifying. Yingxue just rolled her eyes and told me they were waiting at Century Square. I hung up, feeling helpless. It wasn't my fault my beauty filter was literally baked into my skin now. While I was getting ready, Wu Liang was back at his place, buried in textbooks. He hadn't even eaten dinner. His father, Wu Fu, walked in wearing slippers and no shirt, carrying a bowl of food. He stopped dead when he saw his son huddled over a desk. He assumed Wu Liang was just doodling, but when he got closer, his jaw dropped. Wu Liang was actually doing practice problems. A whole stack of prep books sat on his desk. Wu Fu asked if he'd gone crazy. Wu Liang just told him to go away and let him study. He said he was going to rank in the top 3 of the grade this semester. Wu Fu was devastated. He asked what happened to the plan of dropping out of high school to join the family business and become a thug. Wu Liang just looked at him with disgust, saying he didn't want a life that was that easy. Wu Fu stood outside the door, wondering if his son had caught some kind of disease. Meanwhile, I was walking down the street. I was wearing a flashy Sailor Moon t-shirt, baggy shorts, and flip-flops. The attention I got was explosive. From 80-year-old grandmas to 13-year-old girls, everyone was staring. I heard people whispering, wondering if I was some famous celebrity. Even the guys were turning their heads to look at me. By the time I reached Century Square, I'd been asked for my WeChat 17 times and stood for 3 photos. I added every single one of them. My friend list was a gold mine for resentment points, and I wasn't about to let that go to waste. I saw Yingxue standing under a streetlight, waving at me. She looked elegant in a light blue dress and white sandals, her black hair tied in a simple ponytail. Xia Yao was a total contrast, wearing a black tube top, a white sun-shielding jacket, and denim shorts that showed off her long legs. Together, they were a magnet for every eye in the square. Xia Yao stared at me, rubbing her eyes in disbelief. She thought the video call had been a lie, but seeing me in person was worse. She grabbed my face and started rubbing my cheeks, earning me 333 resentment points instantly. She was jealous of how smooth my skin was, accusing me of getting plastic surgery. I told her I just washed my face. She didn't buy it, but Ingxue just laughed and said I was naturally handsome. We decided to head for hot pot. I asked why we were celebrating on a Monday, and Ingxue said she just missed me. Xia Yao chimed in, saying that Luo Tian had taken 2 weeks off school. Ingxue was finally free from his constant pestering. Xia Yao and I shared a secret look and high-fived. Ingxue looked suspicious, sensing we were hiding something, but I just pulled a white rabbit milk candy out of my pocket and gave it to her. She froze for a second, memories clearly flooding back, before smiling and tucking it away for later. Xia Yao reached out her hand, demanding a candy too. I told her that naughty kids don't get treats. She got so mad she put me in a headlock, squeezing until I turned blue. I whispered to her that I'd found a spot, and that once I took first place, I'd show both of them. She let go, surprised. She asked if I was really that confident about taking first place in a place I'd never even been to. I joked that with my looks, the spirit beasts wouldn't even have the heart to hurt me. We were just about to keep walking when a massive explosion rocked the air. A pillar of fire shot into the night sky, turning the darkness into day. The shockwave shattered windows in nearby buildings. The Walmart 2 blocks away was engulfed in flames. People started screaming and running as glass rained down. The fire swallowed 2 floors in seconds, and thick black smoke choked the air. We looked at each other, stunned. A mall shouldn't explode like that. It was peak hours, and the place was packed with civilians. My face went grim. I told them we had to go. We ran toward the fire while everyone else was running away. While everyone else was running for their lives, taking photos, or screaming in terror, the 3 of us moved against the crowd. As spirit martial artists, we had power that normal people didn't. We had a responsibility to be on the front lines, even if it just meant doing the small things. China is the safest country in the world, even after the spiritual awakening, because that sense of duty is baked into our DNA. Zhong Ingxue and Xia Yao were incredibly fast. I actually struggled to keep up. Back at Jiangxing High, they had been trained in combat squads since their freshman year. They spent their time in spirit ruins hunting beasts. Their teamwork was seamless. One look was all it took for them to know what the other was thinking. As we ran, I spotted 3 figures in black suits and jackets moving through the crowd at terrifying speeds. They were heading straight for the mall. I could tell instantly they were military, high-level experts with a presence you couldn't hide, even without uniforms. Shue, Sister Yao, be careful, I warned, my voice tight. This isn't a normal fire. Zhong, Ingxue nodded. A fire type awakened started this, and they're high level. Suddenly, 2 furry, silver ears popped out from Xia Yao's short hair. Wolf ears. She sniffed the air, her expression sharp. The culprit might still be inside. I feel several powerful auras. I barely heard her. My eyes were glued to those twitching ears. They were way too cute. So this was her beast transformation? I wondered if she'd eventually turn into a full wolf. We reached the base of the mall. The area was cordoned off, and crowds were being pushed back. Fire trucks were hooked up to hydrants, blasting massive columns of water at the building, but it did nothing. This wasn't ordinary fire. A few water-type spirit martial artists in the crowd were trying to help, but their efforts were like trying to put out a forest fire with a cup of water. It wasn't just fire trucks. There were riot vans, military vehicles, and news crews everywhere. The flames had already swallowed the 4th and 5th floors and were licking at the 6th. A reporter named Hu Shua was shouting into a camera. It's 8:03 p.m. at the Jiangxing Walmart. The situation is dire. The narrow streets mean we can't set up air cushions, and dozens of people are trapped on the 6th floor. The camera panned up. My heart sank. A mother was huddled by a window on the 6th floor, clutching her child, desperate to escape the black smoke. She looked like she was about to jump. I'm not afraid of the fire, but I can't get them down safely, Zhong Ingxue said, her face pale with worry. Xia Yao was pacing frantically. The 6th floor is too high. I can't jump that far. I looked at the towering inferno, and then at the desperate mother. I have a way. Xiao Nanyu. I didn't wait for them to finish. I shoved through the crowd toward the entrance. A police officer blocked my path immediately. Kid, it's dangerous. Stay back. I'm a spirit martial artist, I barked. I can save them. He blinked, surprised by my intensity. Fine, but you need to register over there first. We have to track everyone entering during an emergency. Stay safe. Register? There wasn't time. But looking at the military gear, I realized this was a crime scene, not just an accident. Just as I turned toward the registration desk, a massive explosion rocked the building. Flames shot 10 meters out of the windows. For shadows suddenly leaped from the 6th floor, soaring across the gap to the roof of the building across the street. They started sprinting away. Immediately after, a figure in a black jacket burst out of the 6th floor window. The person landed directly on a military jeep, crushing the roof flat. The woman climbed off the wreckage, adjusting her beret. She didn't even flinch. She ripped the crushed door off the jeep, tossed it aside like a piece of paper, and pointed toward the fleeing shadows. Pursue them, she commanded. The military vehicles roared to life, chasing after the suspects. Several other black-jacketed agents hidden in the crowd vanished into the shadows to follow. I swallowed hard. That woman was a beast. What kind of insane physical stats did she have? The crowd was still reeling from the shock when a scream went up. The mother on the 6th floor, blinded by smoke and terrified by the explosions, had lost her footing. She tumbled out of the window, still clutching her child. They're falling, the reporter screamed. Oh God, someone help. I didn't think. I used teleport. In a blur of motion, I appeared midair, caught the mother and child, and blinked back to the ground. The transition was so fast, it looked like a glitch in reality. The crowd erupted into cheers. The police officer who had stopped me gave me a massive thumbs up. Xia Yao was jumping up and down, shouting my name, while Zhong Yingxue stood there with her fists clenched, her face flushed with pride. The mother was shaking so hard she couldn't stand. Thank you, thank you. It's okay, you're safe, I said, trying to calm her down. How many more are up there? Maybe 50 or 60, she sobbed. I don't know, maybe more. My blood ran cold. 50 people? The fire department's ladders would never be fast enough. The fire would swallow them all before the ladders reached the halfway point. I turned to a nearby firefighter. There are too many people. I'm going back in. Wait, kid. Put on a fire suit. It's too hot. He didn't finish his sentence. I was already gone. 10 seconds later, I reappeared on the pavement, carrying 2 people. Before anyone could say a word, I vanished again. This time, I came back with 2 on my shoulders, 2 in my hands, and 1 tucked under my arm. In less than a minute, I had teleported over 20 people out of the inferno. The crowd, the police, and the firefighters just watched in stunned silence as I blurred in and out of existence, a one-man rescue team against the clock. Cheers erupted from the crowd every time I emerged. People were whistling and shouting, their eyes glued to the burning building. Damn, this kid is a beast, someone yelled. He's a goddamn rescue machine. He's so young, but he's got nerves of steel. Do you know how dangerous it is in there? Wait, isn't that the guy from the night market? The ruthless boss who smashed the bricks. Nearby, a news reporter named Hushua was giving a play-by-play into his camera. Let's turn the lens toward our hero. He looks like a student, but he's clearly a powerful awakened. In just 1 minute, he has already pulled 27 people from the flames. Wait, look. His clothes are on fire. I felt a sudden sting and realized my short-sleeved shirt was smoldering. I slapped at the embers, noticing several holes burned right through the fabric. The heat inside was becoming unbearable, like standing in a furnace. My skin felt like it was peeling. I didn't have time to look for a hose. I reached into my spatial storage and pulled out a bottle of my farmer's 3 Springs, the diluted stamina potion. I didn't drink it. I dumped the whole thing over my head. Yeah, I was using a 10,000 yuan bottle of water to take a cold shower. It was total overkill, but I didn't care. The cold liquid hit me, making me shiver violently. But then, something strange happened. I felt a sudden surge of raw power erupting from inside my body. My eyes widened. Could the stamina potion be absorbed through the skin? I quickly rubbed my head, terrified for a second that it might make me go bald like a side effect, but my hair was still there. I felt like I'd discovered a new world. With my energy refilled, I charged back into the fire. Moments later, I reappeared with 2 more survivors. The potion on my skin turned into steam the moment I hit the heat, trailing behind me like a white mist. Back at the news van, Hushua was getting emotional. Do you see that, folks? Our Sailor Moon warrior has holes burned all through his shirt. It shows just how deadly that fire is, yet he refuses to stop. Such selfless bravery. It brings a tear to my eye. The crowd lost it. Someone burst out laughing. Just call it a t-shirt, man. What the hell is a Sailor Moon warrior? The serious atmosphere broke for a second as people realized the shirt I was wearing actually had a cartoon character printed on the front. Hushua looked embarrassed, sticking his tongue out playfully as he realized his slip of the tongue went live. Inside the building, the air was thick with black, toxic smoke. A young girl named Yu Qingqing was crouched on a bathroom sink, her hair tied in 2 cute buns. She was holding her phone up, streaming live to her followers. Her face was covered in soot, and tear tracks ran down her cheeks. Am I going to die here? She sobbed into the camera. The comments flooded her screen. I'm watching the news, one viewer commented. A beast just charged in to save everyone. He's already pulled out over 20 people. They're calling him the Sailor Moon warrior. Yu Qingqing's eyes lit up. She wiped her tears. Someone's coming? A Sailor Moon warrior. Right then, she heard a voice echoing through the hallway. Anyone left? Make a sound. If you don't squeak, I'm leaving. Yu Qingqing didn't hesitate. Squeak. 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 Her live stream chat exploded. Asterisk, oh my god, you idiot. Why are you actually squeaking? Give him your location. Asterisk. Over here, she screamed. The bathroom. Bang. The door flew off its hinges. Through the rolling smoke, she saw a tall silhouette stride in. Sailor Moon warrior? She asked, her voice trembling with hope. Is it you? I rolled my eyes. Sure, and I've got magical powers, too. She finally saw my shirt. The cartoon girl was printed right across my chest. The livestream viewers were losing their minds. Asterisk, this guy is a legend. Balala the fairies, transform. He's here. She's saved. Asterisk. Yu Qingqing blushed. Even under the soot and grime, she could tell I was good-looking. The danger seemed to add a layer of rugged masculinity to my face. I didn't say another word. I just scooped her up and teleported. Before she could even process the movement, she was standing on the cool pavement outside. She turned to thank me, but I was already gone, diving back into the inferno. She spotted her classmates, Zhong Yingxue and Xia Yao, in the crowd and ran to them, sobbing. Shue, Yao. I was so scared. They barely recognized the little soot monster as their friend. Zhong Yingxue hugged her, patting her back. It's okay. It's over now. Xia Yao, however, was staring at the flames with a worried expression. Jiang Yuan is only a black iron rank 10. Teleporting this much. Will his spiritual energy hold out? Yu Qingqing blinked. Yao, you know the Sailor Moon warrior? Zhong Yingxue smiled weakly. He's my friend. His name is Jiang Yuan. Wait, for real? Yu Qingqing gasped. Is this fate? By now, I had made over a dozen more trips. My face was deathly pale. My spiritual energy was bottoming out, just like Xia Yao feared. But I had already saved 63 people. I needed to be sure no one was left behind. I teleported back in one last time, scanning the rooms. It looked empty. I was about to leave when my foot caught on something. I looked down, and it was a man, a foreigner with blonde hair and blue eyes. He was in horrific shape. One arm was torn off, and his remaining limbs were snapped at unnatural angles. He was just lying there, staring at me with wide, intense eyes. What struck me was his expression. Most people would be screaming in agony, but he was eerily calm. Damn, buddy, you look terrible, I said, reaching down. Don't worry, I'll get you out. The foreigner's eyes twitched and he asked, What do you mean? I look terrible. Where's the sympathy? Then, he started crawling away from me like a madman, using his one good limb to drag his broken body. Don't save me. Let me die? Just leave me here. He spoke fluent Chinese, which caught me off guard. But I wasn't about to let him give up. Not a chance. I'm a model citizen. I don't leave people to rot. Despair filled the man's eyes as he lunged forward, slamming his head against a stone pillar, trying to knock himself out, or worse. Blood smeared across the stone, but he stayed conscious. Hey, stop that, I shouted, feeling genuinely bad for him. You can't treat yourself like that. Your body is a gift from your parents. I hoisted him onto my back. Resentment from Alexander Joykovsky, plus 1,000. Holy crap. I'd never seen a name that long before. Alexander started thrashing on my back, despite his injuries. No, I beg you. Let me die. Nope. I grunted, bracing myself for the final teleport. Life is precious. You idiot. Just let me die. I can't do that. Surviving this mess means you've got good luck ahead of you. You know what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Alexander looked like he was under a lot of pressure, literally. He was losing his mind. I caught a glimpse of his face and realized he wasn't just scared. He was terrified of living. I narrowed my eyes as I prepared to jump. A normal person doesn't wait for death with that kind of calm. If this guy wanted to die this badly, he definitely wasn't normal. I looked at him, and his identity became crystal clear. He wanted to die? Not on my watch. Please, I'm begging you, just let me die. Alexander was actually on the verge of tears. I can't do that, I replied, sounding like a saint. Life is far too precious to waste. If you let me die, I'll give you money, he screamed in desperation. I stopped in my tracks. How much? Alexander stared at me, his jaw dropping in disbelief. 1 second I was preaching about the priceless value of human life, and the next I was asking for a quote. The hypocrisy was too much for him to handle. Resentment from Alexander Joykovsky, plus 666. I have it on me, he managed to choke out. I didn't wait for him to reach for his wallet. I tossed him onto the hard ground with a heavy thud. I knelt over him and started rummaging through his clothes, my hands flying over his pockets as I searched for anything valuable. Ow. Hey, take it easy, he yelled, wincing as I moved his battered limbs. Watch the arm. Don't touch me there. That hurts. I ignored his protests. I was a man on a mission. If he had enough money to buy his own death, he certainly had enough to fund my future. I kept searching, determined to get every cent he was carrying. I knew I could get him out of here, and I knew I was the only one who could. I had the strength and the will to make it happen, whether he liked it or not. I was going to bring him down that mountain, and I was going to get paid for the trouble.